Yeah, good man, good. Did you see the tweet by fucking Elon?
I
There's no break for us. It's insane.
man,
I was just starting to chill. Like we just did a space earlier,
it's a lot of
and
emotions
I
with
was just starting to
the
chill.
World Cup, and now you have this.
What's going on?
Oh man, hey, look,
What's up, man? What's up?
all I'm saying is I'm pretty sure the guy can pull up the money because the last tweets were that nobody wants the job because they're burning so much cash that it's basically going in the flames. If Elon can listen to this, man, like seriously, there's ways already in Qatar. I have some Saudi friends, and if he shows up to Switzerland, I can pull up a bunch of people. But I don't think he should be raising cash in the US. They're way too woke. So maybe people a bit more based. But hey, whatever. We'll see.
Yeah, but what is that? It's nothing to do with him raising cash, man. It's about him stepping down.
Did you see the tweet from Lex
Did
Friedman?
you see the poll? Do you see? No, what was the tweet from Lex Friedman about doing a
So
podcast with Elon?
no. Lex Friedman said, I would be a CEO, no pay, fun idea. If you're willing to consider, I'll just focus on tech and give more love to people. He actually answered to him and he says, okay, but caveat, you need to put all of your savings. And he said, okay, done. So
Wait, Lex tweeted that?
yeah. You can let me just go and find it.
Hold on. What did Elon reply to that tweet or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Replied, he said caveat, you need to put all your savings into it because they're burning too much cash. Let me just go through.
Well, Lex doesn't have
I just shared the tweet in the nest.
You pin
So
it
you
up.
can find it above.
Yeah, I'll try to pin the Elon one here. There.
I'd be
I don't know
down
if
with
you can
Lex
see it.
Friedman as a CEO. I don't know about
Yeah,
y'all.
me too, though.
I like
would
Lex. He's
definitely
cool.
help him. I think they should open a headquarter in Switzerland. If they listen, I'm willing to consider as well.
Mario, you should bring on Lex.
Yeah, let's bring in.
Let me send him an invite. Yeah. Let me send him an invite now. I'll send an
I
invite in a
think
bit, actually.
we should bring Lex and Elon. I don't know if Elon is busy now. He's probably
Elon, no, he
celebrating.
replied to me earlier about the last space, but
Yeah.
he was too late because the space crashed.
I mean, he's in Qatar right now, right? So I think he's in a good place also to get the funding. So, anyways, no, that'd be fun.
Hey, guys.
You know, I tweeted something on my profile. I said, look, even if he wants to go down, I personally believe he should at least set up the principles and a constitution, you know, so that then, you know, he can put his vision into it and then leave. But, you know, you don't buy a thing without putting your vision into it. I mean, I think the whole point was for him to fix this. So if he comes in, you know, I mean, I would say it's only rational to say, hey, look, I'm gonna put a bunch of principles together, even if he has to make them, you know, poll voted or something, and then set up a constitution, and then fuck off if he wants to fuck off. But then even then, at that point, he could be like, look, the constitution's been set up, the principles have been set up. And then if the CEO that comes in after, because he does, I don't know if he wants to do it or if he's just like fucking with us, but but if he wants,
No, I don't know. Like it's because if he fucks around with this poll, like you can. But the thing is, you can easily change polls, as he said himself when he did a poll a while ago. Someone said like Elon just used this poll to grab all the bots, so all the bots come on the poll and he can start blocking bots because a lot of people bot polls all the time. So I'm not sure. Like he can easily change this to his favor. Like the employees can just add a bunch of votes.
Well, that depends on whether you think he's sincere or not, if he's dishonest or not. I actually think he's reacting in an emotional way. So I think it's probably honest. So I think he was getting all this criticism constantly from everyone. And I think this was a reaction to that, honestly.
Let me try to bring in Lex and Elon.
Idea here. If he were to step down and there were to be a new CEO, how would everyone here feel about I don't want to call it a tryout, but hey, if there's 4 people that have the ability to be CEO, Why not try them out in front of Twitter and let the Twitter followers, let everyone on Twitter decide who the next CEO is?
I don't think that should be decided by people on Twitter. Like, I think it's Elon's company. As much as I've criticized his decisions, like, I think it's still his company. So I don't think he should be letting random people on Twitter decide this kind of stuff.
He's letting random people decide if he's going to be the CEO. So we'll keep it rolling.
I don't think he should be.
That's fair.
I don't agree with that. I mean, again, that's also his decision, but I think he's doing it out of an emotional kind of maybe hurt place or insecure place or whatnot. He's being attacked a lot, and as a human being, I can kind of understand that. So I don't think this is great. I don't think you should be letting the masses decide, and these things can be gamed and, bots or whatnot. And I don't like this.
Someone start a poll to have Mario become CEO.
Imagine, no, to screw that, man. I'm not gonna. I would run the fuck away. Jesus.
I said that account Greg should be CEO. That guy Greg, he should be CEO.
Greg, who?
It's like a parody account, but he's fucking hysterical.
I know the crypto one. Yeah. That'll be a good one. Actually, that's a good poll to do.
Lex would be an interesting person to do maybe some innovation. I don't know if Lex is like CEO style, but it's interesting that he expressed interest. Who knows? I mean,
at a minimum, he is the least controversial person on Twitter.
Yeah, he is, and he's good at bringing everyone together. So
frankly, I think he could pull this off. He's a media guy. He would just move his own podcast into here and then transform Twitter into what he says, like basically a competition to YouTube and Spotify, and that would totally work now.
Let me just send an invite. I won't DM Elon for this because I already DM'd him for the last one. I'll just reply to Lex and Elon with a space link. It would be good if either they join this space or they just do their own space and just discuss it in a space. That would be sick. And discussing, imagine Elon interviewing Lex Friedman live on Spaces. By the way, Dallas, I've seen your hand up for a while. Go ahead, man. You can just jump in.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. Curious what you guys think is where is maybe the motivation coming? So I feel like with Elon, right? I mean, today is World Cup Day, so he's out there having fun. He's watching the game. And then he tweets out, I feel like in the past, he'll use polls I feel like oftentimes he knows the answer he's probably going to get with the polls, but sometimes I could see it being a spur of the moment emotional thing as well. But I wonder what's probing him to answer it. Cause I think, a beautiful part about Elon is he plays to, he's a populist. He likes to do what the crowd likes, if it makes sense. But then, the crowd's not always right, which is interesting. Sometimes he'll ask these polls, and I wonder if he's either, do you think he has more moves planned ahead of this, or is he just shooting from the hip?
Catherine was saying that some people are saying they feel it's an emotional decision. I don't know. It's hard. We're just speculating here. It would be good to have him jump in and I don't know, might send him an invite in a bit and tell us exactly what he's thinking. But I'd be very surprised if this is emotional. This guy built Tesla. This guy built SpaceX. I think he has relatively good emotional control.
It does seem
but then again,
though.
It's been a tough couple of weeks.
It does seem emotional with his son and an attacker or stalker, everything. That kind of throws a different wave into everything, especially when it's your children.
No, I think
that honestly, I think that he needed to confirm
that he used to.
Go ahead, Nick. Sorry, just let Nick speak because I'm trying to speak for a while.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, all good, man. Good.
But yeah, I think that the guy, honestly, he wants to. It's not an emotional thing, in my opinion. It has to do with the fact that he wants to reaffirm to the entire Twitter community that he actually has the support of the Twitter base. So I think that has a lot more to do with it. I think he knows what the outcome of this poll is going to be, and it is going to be yes.
Go ahead, Sherry. I'm just changing the name of the title of the space. Elon serious. So there's two questions. Is Elon serious about stepping down? And Lex as a CEO?
Yeah, I mean, look. I think the only mistake I have seen him done so far is the fact that, in terms of consistency, he used to run polls, but then all of a sudden for this for this posting other social media thing, he didn't run a poll. So I'm sure if he were to do it again, he would have run a poll on, hey, should I be able to do that this way or not? Because taking a policy and then reversing it is always like a bad move. But yeah, I don't think it's an emotional thing. Maybe if it is, it's kind of a joke and he's fucking with us. But he probably has a couple of names in his head, you know. Like, think about it. The guy is really busy right now, so it's not like he has only one business.
Honestly, I want Ian to jump in and maybe invite Elon afterwards. But I just think, I don't know, if he actually steps down from this, because that's 60% yes. And again, I don't think he'll tell anyone at Twitter to change the results, because again, the polls are really easy to play around with. I don't think he'll do any of that. Will he abide by it? He seems to be serious about it. I think he'll face a lot of backlash if he doesn't. So, like, if it's at 60% yes right now to step down, and it's already, like, usually polls don't change much. So I don't know. I really don't know. But
Mario,
if he steps...
if polls are easy to manipulate, how do we know that it's not already being manipulated?
Like by Elon manipulating it to yes?
Or someone at Twitter? I don't know.
Oh, 100%. Easy. Like, if polls, you can ask anyone technical, like polls and likes on Twitter, very easy to manipulate because you don't need actually real accounts. It's very easy to bring them up, at least for now, unless Twitter does something about that. Because that's why when Elon, I said it earlier, when Elon did a poll about Trump, I think, someone replied, this is a trap for bots. Because everyone knows, like, bots, people botting polls is really, really easy. So this is a trap for bots. And Elon replied with a wink or something like that, with an emoji. So it could be, like, I'm not saying this poll isn't botted. I'm sure a lot of Elon haters could be botting it as yes. Elon could do the same thing and bot it as no. It's not hard to do. The question is that 60% right now, which surprised me. You know, when he first did the poll, I thought it was a joke. I didn't even think about doing a space. But seeing it at 60% yes right now, and Elon making a joke, not making a joke, tweeting that be careful what you wish for, and talking to Lex about being CEO, you know, is it a line between trolling? Is he just trolling us? Versus, you know, everyone's watching this poll, everyone's seeing the results. If he backs down, does that lead us to question every future poll? I think people that want to criticize Elon will have just a lot of ammunition if he doesn't abide by the polls that he says he'll abide by. And he's abided by every poll so far.
No, so I don't think so, Mally. I think he's going to. I think he's going to stick with this. Don't forget, he was putting up the idea of replacing himself with an actual CEO about a month into him acquiring the company. So I wouldn't expect. You know, I think he just wants to maybe take a step back and focus on bigger things like SpaceX and Tesla. Anyway,
Mario, who do you think he?
I agree.
Who do you guys think he has picked out as like an ideal CEO if he could have his choice?
Imagine Dallas, he's already planned all this. Imagine he's already spoken, I don't think he has, but imagine he's already spoken to CEOs, he's already having discussions. Again, I don't think this is the case. I also genuinely think he may have, you know, as an argument to make, and I'm not in a position to it was just an assumption, but he might have bitten off more than he could chew, because this is, so some people were talking about, I think it was in the All In podcast, one of them, I think, is on the board of Twitter and as an advisor. I could be wrong, but they were talking about
and Calacanis are both,
David Sachs.
Yeah, both on it, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I know Jason is, and I think Sachs is as well. So, from memory, it was on that podcast they were talking about, hey, Elon could have bitten off more than he could chew. I know he's built SpaceX, he's built Tesla, but those companies are still running. Like the guy, and he was on an interview with Joe Rogan a few months ago. I was listening to it, and before Twitter, he was talking about, you know, barely getting any sleep, burnt out, and Joe Rogan asking him, like, how do you do this? So that was before Twitter. Twitter alone is a full-time job. And I made a comment about 2 spaces ago. I said, Elon should just, I'm surprised Elon's actually jumping in our spaces, replying to my messages, replying to people's tweets, especially Ian's and Tara's and others. Like, this takes time. Yeah, but this takes time. This is sucking up his energy. I think I'm not saying it's a wise decision.
Go on the Lex Friedman tweet and pin also Elon's response, because he basically says exactly that. You must like a lot of pain, you know?
I don't know, man. Frank, fried chicken, what do you guys think?
My question would be, and I don't know the answer. If he does step down as CEO, does this give him an easier or more ample of an opportunity to then start selling percents as shares to fundraise?
What makes you say that?
I'm just asking. I don't know if it makes it easier. I mean, is it more difficult as like, hey, the CEO is starting to like sell bits and pieces of percents of Twitter here and there?
Twitter? You mean of
yes,
Twitter?
Yes, correct. Like now, does he if he steps down? Is there a deal in place to where, hey, step down as CEO, we'll take X percent at this value to you, and start fundraising a bit?
I think we get crypto lawyers or some other lawyer. Try to get Fidget or crypto lawyers to discuss this point.
Yeah, because that's
we'll go
what
to,
it says
to Frank.
there on the pinned one. It says Twitter has been in the fast lane to bankruptcy since May. Still want the job, and then he says, "Yeah, we can turn it around." So I think
they need cash. Like
he's had issues with advertisers pulling out, but like, do you guys know how much he's reduced their expenses with employees that they let go? I mean, they let go like 2/3 or more than 2/3 of the staff, no? That were on salary.
But they're still burning like $40 million a month or something like that, right? Isn't that around the number?
I think so. I mean, yeah, but that's how. I mean, that's not. I'm not speaking like it's a small amount of money to me, but that's $500 million a year.
Yeah, well, those are the costs that he's saved on, in the immediate term. But those aren't money that he's returned from what's been sunk into the company over years. I mean, from what I understand, Twitter's been profitable for 2 years, 2017 and 18, I think. And since then, it's been again burning money like no tomorrow. So Musk is going to have to find a way to garner a huge amount of money from advert revenue. He's going to have to find a way to reduce the covers as well. He's also going to have to find a way to create alternative revenue streams, which is perhaps why he sort of thought about removing the capacity for you to cross promote other media, because he wants to try and centralize people to upload it on here so that you can sort of increase the monetization options or something. But none of this is going to happen overnight, and is that going to be able to make the company sustainable in the short to medium term? Not very clear.
Look, I'm not convinced that Elon knew what the results of this poll would be, number one, and also, not to sound too conspiratorial, but I'm not convinced that the results of this poll are even legitimate. We've had signs of snakes within his ranks all the way through this process, and certainly before he put in a huge, tremendous turnover in the staff. They were all actively working to undermine him every step of the way. It's certainly at least not outside the realm of possibility and probability that there could be some bad actors working to undermine him right now.
It doesn't even, again, guys, just to make it clear, you don't have to work in Twitter to be able to manipulate polls. Just to be very clear.
Thank you for the clarification.
And this is why it's this. Yeah, and it's just very like, I don't get it. Like, polls are a great idea, the whole decentralized aspect, and I'll go to Frank next, but the whole decentralized aspect of it and allowing the community to decide is great. But Twitter polls, like, we know Twitter has a bot problem and everyone talks about it, and polls and likes are probably the two things that people bot. So I just don't think, and I've made the point again twice, and for the third time, people commented on this, and Elon replied to it, confirming it, about people botting the Trump poll as well. Again, we don't know. Maybe bots are dead now. Elon took a lot of action against them, so maybe now it's more legitimate, but I don't know. Frank, what do you think?
Hey, I have a prediction, and I feel like I might be right on this one. Let's see. My guess, just from reading in between the lines of what Elon's been saying for the last few hours, I think that he's going to open up all policy decisions to the community. And when he's saying stepping down as head, quote unquote, of Twitter, my guess is and then he said the ominous tweet, be careful, you might get what you ask for. It just sounds like he's leading up to opening up decision making to the overall Twitter community, and that being the next experiment. And so that's my guess. That's my prediction. You guys heard it here first on the Nawal Falls space.
It's a good prediction. That's a fair prediction. What do you think, Tom?
Sorry, So Mario, I actually brought this up in a space that wasn't crypto-centric the other day, and you kind of shut it down because it was too crypto-specific.
You cut out there.
Sorry, Tom, go ahead. Yeah, no, Fidget, the mic is horrible, bro. Your mic is horrible. Tom, what do you think of what Frank said? Do you think, Fidget, please fix your mic, man. Tom, do you think that Elon will start opening decision making to the community through polls?
Well, he said he would. I don't have any reason to say to suggest he wouldn't. I guess my general concern is, my impression is his prior companies were run along traditional business lines. And he's come into what is essentially a quasi-government or political operation, where he's not controlling the direction of his company the way he might have in the other companies he's running. So he's under significant pressure. The fact that he's even asking this question shows he's under significant pressure. And, the political nature of what he's doing is completely alien to most people's experience, and certainly his. And he's being targeted, obviously, in terms of security, his personal security, in ways that we can't fathom. You've had the media happily participate in trying to dox him, as we've been talking about. And, then he does something like this over the last day, and he gets this negative reaction, and he must be extraordinarily frustrated. And in the meantime, the company isn't doing as well as it could. And anyone commenting on this or kind of participating in trying to influence the direction of Twitter, most of them, including I would say most of us, have little interest in whether Twitter is profitable or not. So I don't envy his position.
Yeah, I'm thinking to Catherine, jump in, but I'm thinking to send him an invite again because he saw my message too late for the last one. Let me see. I'm trying to get Ian in as well. He's on calls. But what do you think, Catherine?
I just think that he is basically, based on all the tweets that he's been doing in the last a few hours or so, it's all very apologetic. It's all about asking people for advice, almost like that, he responded to one person saying, that makes sense, we'll change it to this. It's really adjusting course. So I think based on the evidence and the trail of messages, to me, that suggests that he does feel pressure, just as Tom said, and the fact that he opened up these polls. I do think it's an emotional response, and he's kind of I think he's kind of reached an emotional, I think he's a human being, but I think the reason he should not do it by poll is because ultimately he's built these companies. He's Elon Musk because he's Elon Musk. And so while, again, not everything that he does is the right move, and again, I've criticized some of these things, he still is the owner of these companies. He's risking his own money, his own capital, and people voting by poll. I don't think that makes sense. Getting feedback, however, I think is an excellent idea. Anyways, I'll hand it over. I think Piotr had his hand up for a bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo what Tom was saying. I think, let's be honest, I think Musk is, I think this is partially a test for him. Perhaps, look at what's happened. We've opened a space. Mario's opened a space. 300 million people have opened spaces. You know what I mean? We're all very reacting in real time to what Musk is doing. And maybe he gets a certain sense of satisfaction from seeing Twitter engage with him. And seeing, genuinely trying to take advice from different communities. But equally, this is a poll. He owns the company. There isn't much of a board around him. And as to whether or not he's actually going to make informed executive and strategical decisions based on this poll, I really hope not. No offense to everybody. I think it's, important to take awareness of what people say, but we have no idea the intricate details of what Twitter's situation is. He's been replying to a few other people. I think he just replied to Ian, another one, about, increasing the options that you have on Twitter in terms of content creation, like, embedded video creation, better writing opportunities or methods. So I think he wants to try and create this multi-purpose super app. But is he going to just keep doing that all through polls? Not necessarily. I think they're more advisory, and he takes them into account into his ultimate decision making. And if he does, elect some, alternative or replacement executive, and he becomes more of like a non-executive chairman, then that may, then he might do these polls again for symbolic purposes to then sort of inspire ideas. You know, he has big ideas. He's a visionary, so maybe he likes to use his polls as a way to substantiate that, and it seems to work quite well. But anyway, sorry for the background noise, whether I'm in Argentina land.
All good. I like how every time you have to tell us exactly where you are. I'm in Argentina by the 5th Street next to 20 people talking English. Champ, jump in, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, Mario. I was just going to say, and this was already kind of said earlier, I think that the polls and just sort of like the general tweets from Elon this evening, to me, mark what feels like sort of the first time that, at least, again, this is purely subjective, it seems like Elon is sort of shaken by the internal Twitter reactions. And what I see as, maybe one of the core reasons for that is that if you pay attention to the news at all, which admittedly I rarely do, this sort of quote unquote like regular news, right? People have from external sources who are not like you and I and the rest of the people on this stage and in this space who, if we're being honest, are probably, quote unquote hardcore Twitter users, feeling like Twitter is more alive than ever while sort of the external media just dunks on it and sort of repeatedly tries to convince everybody that it's, going to implode. And I feel like today, the reason why we got that sort of reaction is that it seems like the first time we've seen sort of the internal Twitter crowd and folks like us and sort of the hardcore users be like, what the fuck, Elon? Like, this is ridiculous. And what I hope is that if Twitter sort of moves in the direction of, decentralized isn't the right word, but sort of community decision making, that we see that used to sort of implement really cool features, right? Somebody who's good about doing this is Frank, actually, who's on stage. You see Frank today replying to Elon with stuff like, hey, we should add live streaming because there's so much potential to really build on really robust features that I think will make this a way better platform for creators and allow the platform to monetize off the back of creators being able to monetize. But I do think that the polls today and all the tweets today are more so, if anything, sort of like a mark. I don't want to look. I'm not going to sit here and call a multi-billion-dollar man insecure, but it just struck me as a little bit like something that we haven't really seen since sort of the takeover of Twitter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Look.
Well, he mentioned early on when he took over Twitter that he would probably just take over as CEO for a time being and then have someone else step in to take over. So, I don't know if he does a lot of things that aren't necessarily already kind of pre-planned. Like when he mentioned buying Twitter in the first place, I'm pretty sure he already planned to do it. I don't think he was just throwing it out there. But I could be wrong, but it seems like a lot of what he does put out there, he already sort of has something in the works.
I can sort of see the polls being sort of like a bit of an ethics council or a accountability council. So he asks us as his big council of the people, what do we think we should do with it? And then he takes into consideration that in a sort of aggregate sense and then tries to apply it in a way that is viable, profitable wise, but also in a way that will make it popular with people who want to see Twitter succeed. You know what I mean?
Tom?
I think it would be difficult to overstate what a lonely position he's in right now in terms of the decision making. He's not getting the rewards, obviously, from the media. He mentions something negative about Fauci, and he's attacked by the White House and members of Congress. He's being threatened by the European Union. His other companies are being targeted. And, one potential way out is maybe just take a step back from running Twitter day to day. And I would suggest to him, because of the political nature of what he's been doing, he's already assigned a target to his back that's never going to be removed. So, the political side, and I know it's easy for me to say, but the left is never going to stop. If he were to pull back right now, it would be a major victory for the totalitarian left that opposes free speech, and their despicable tactics that they've used to try to destroy him. And, and there's no way they're ever going to stop because he's already outed himself as an opponent of their totalitarian push to end free speech as any normal person understands it to be, to end free speech completely on these big tech platforms.
Very astute observations, Tom. Very astute observations. The totalitarian left, as you put it, will stop at nothing. They're absolutely relentless, and they will cede no ground. And that's in part why they've been so successful. And keep in mind, this hyperbolic response to Elon's acquisition of Twitter, this is just one. This is just one of the entire big tech space that has afforded the expansion of free speech. And they're freaking out over just having one of them an equal playing ground for the expansion of opinions. So what do you think is going to happen when Elon's out of the way again? I think we could be seeing something, we could be seeing a pretty negative trajectory, frankly, in where they are also fueled by a sense of revenge on top of their totalitarianism.
I've also invited David Sachs, Jason Calacanis, and I'm going to invite Elon in a bit as well to get there. And I'll see, maybe I'll invite Mark Andreessen. Let me send him an invite. It would be good to get someone from the board at Twitter to give us a take on this. But Catherine, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason that I feel like there is an emotional backing to this is because I feel like I can relate to this experience a little bit on a much smaller scale. Because I think I kind of recognize a little bit of Elon, and because I sort of was somebody who believed a lot in getting people's input and really freedom of speech, and everyone gets a voice, and let's take everybody's input and put it in. And I ran a group that had over 30,000 journalists in it, and when they disagreed with a particular stance of allowing something to be posted, they sort of turned and I at first sort of adapted the stance of like, let's listen to everybody. Let's, let every voice be heard. And they saw that as like a weakness. They saw that as a way to sort of pounce and I learned a lot from that. And, but I also sort of, my first impulse was, as I was being attacked, was to be like, to listen, to do these, maybe not a poll, but sort of take a very similar approach to what Elon is doing. But, that's why I think it is sort of an emotional reaction. Anyways, back to you.
Let's see. I've invited Ian. Thanks for coming. I've invited Elon as well, so just sent him an invite now. No Let's see if he has time. I don't know if he'll have time considering the World Cup. But we'll see. Frank, I know you've had your hand up. Frank, you've had your hand up for a while, man. Jump in.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing to me is it's just a simple. I actually love the experimentation on Twitter, and I know that there's a lot of people that aren't vocal that do. Like, it's kind of fun, but I think the only concern that I have, literally as a creator, one concern is I just don't want to get banned for some arbitrary niche reason. And I think that as long as like that is taken care of, or there's some good recourse around how you can get unbanned or whatever it is, I'm like okay with literally any experimentation on this app. Like I'm down to see it. It's kind of fun. It's cool to see everyone get blue checks. Cool to see everyone lose the blue checks. Like who fucking cares? All that really matters to me is that the platform itself doesn't go away. So if Elon has to make moves to make the company profitable, like I honestly just don't care. I just I think a lot of creators are like this. We just want security that the platform is not going to disappear in for yourself or for a lot of people overnight. So I think that's why he got such a negative response to this policy, and it's just different from the typical negative response that he got, because usually people tend to defend him if it's a logical thing, and it wasn't necessarily that logical here. But you got to teach me your ways, Mario, how you're the Elon whisperer, bro. We got to get him up here. If anyone could do it, Mario, it's fucking you. So
I'm trying, man. I sent him an invite. Like, I'm surprised he even replied earlier, because I think he would have jumped into the last space. But then I told him, hey, man, don't jump in, because it started glitching. Remember, Ian? Everyone got kicked out. Every speaker was getting kicked out. It was just me at the end.
Pretty much,
in the last space. Yeah, so I told him, hey, he's glitching. Don't worry. So he said, okay.
Did you see he was going to join this one?
Yeah, I think he was going to join the last one. But this one, I don't think so, man. Like, Qatar is like 4 or 5 a.m. now. I don't know unless he's on a plane back home. Right. But I'd be surprised if he joins.
If only there was a way to find out whether or not he was on a plane.
Not anymore, man. Fried chicken.
Do you want to tweet the link,
Ian? No.
I'm curious how everyone feels. Obviously we saw him in the booth with the at the World Cup game with the Saudis. He also is with Jared Kushner today. I was curious on what everybody's thoughts on that could potentially be. For those who don't know, Jared Kushner is Donald Trump's son-in-law.
Well,
let's invite.
Well, I'm not. I got to be honest. That was kind of a little bit of a red flag for me. But there's no telling if there's what the relationship between Elon and Jared Kushner is. I'm personally not a big fan of Jared Kushner. I thought he was.
Jared would be a terrible manager.
Yeah,
because he ran his newspaper, the New York Observer, into the ground.
Does he have money? Does Jared have money to invest in Twitter?
They have money.
Yes.
They have money.
There you go.
Okay. Yes.
That could be the connection.
It could be as simple as that.
I'm a little bit of a political nerd because this is what I do every day. But I do just want to say, if you look back at the Trump administration, Jared Kushner had a lot of time he spent a lot of time dealing with the Saudis, the government of Qatar, UAE. And if you look at the pictures with Elon and of him standing up there in the suite, you could tell there were a lot of clearly either Qatar government leaders or Saudi royals or something. So it may have just been a total coincidence.
It's possible. I hope that's the case. And
you got to keep in mind that despite his not so great business acumen, Jared Kushner deserves a lot of credit for the peace in the Middle East right now.
Correct.
He's the reason Kuwait and UAE and Saudi Arabia and Israel are all talking to each other, right? And you got to give the guy credit.
Yeah. I think that it could just be a coincidence. I mean, obviously, Elon has been talking to the Saudis. I think he got some money from the Saudis for the acquisition. Jared's close with them too. I mean, it's possible they were in the same box or something.
Yeah, it could just be that simple. But I will add, outside of that, Ian, just a little polite pushback. I mean, also Jared Kushner was working behind the scenes actively against some of Trump's most populist instincts. And there's pretty clear records of that too. So
I don't think Trump has any instincts. Come on.
Well,
he just goes with whatever is popular. I mean, that's Trump. He wings it, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree. But I mean, Trump when he first began running for his first bid for the White House, that was before he had hardly any advisors around him except maybe Roger Stone and a few ragtag politicos, and most of his general platform was predominantly sculpted solely by him and Roger Stone, and that's what got him. That's what ascended him to a popularity in the first place.
Now he doesn't have either of them.
Right.
He has clowns that push out NFTs.
Just, Ian, I want to ask you a question because you weren't there in the beginning. What do you think? You didn't give us your thoughts on this poll by Musk. Did it catch you by surprise? I'm sure it did. And do you think he'll abide by it?
I won't say it caught me by surprise. I think that, well, it really depends, right? I mean, if he has no successor, who's he going to give it to? So it's kind of a moot point, right?
The question is,
but now could he start a process? I'll give you the mic right after. See, I was going to say, would he start a process to find a CEO though? Lex obviously said yes, but I'm sure many others could agree as well.
Ed Snowden said he would be down too. He takes Bitcoin as payment. He said that on the web.
Are you being serious?
Ed's serious. He tweeted it.
He tweeted it out. Yeah.
This is so fucking. This is like what I don't know. No matter what happens, this is fun. This is fun.
It's either the FBI running Twitter.
Do you guys think Lex? Oh, sorry, Tom.
No, go ahead. I was just going to make a snide point.
I wanted to hear it. I was just gonna say, do you guys think that Lex would be a balanced, fair person to be in charge or CEO?
Yeah. Yes, he would. He would. I would say so. He's a very open-minded person. He talks to literally everyone. I mean, he talked to Kanye when Kanye was canceled, right? And then next thing he does is he talks to Elon. He talks to a bunch of game developers. I mean, the guy is pretty open. When he's not like some brain-dead ideologue or anything like that. So I wouldn't be, it wouldn't be bad I wouldn't be opposed to it if he was literally the next CEO. If only for a time being, if only for to see if he can run the place. I mean, the guy's pretty smart. He went to MIT. He's a researcher.
He's an engineer. I mean,
He's
it
an
kind of works
engineer
out
too.
perfect.
Yeah, so he gets
He's
it.
an idealist, though. He's very innocent.
Well, that's
In a
what
way.
we need, right?
Well,
We
that's
need
what I
I
was
someone
really
like
thinking
like
that.
with
him.
this whole,
You can't
like,
have a
there's
cynic.
like this altruistic kind of vibe that I think Elon wanted Twitter to have, but I think it's very difficult with him being kind of the target and like just getting shot down constantly, like to not, want to fire back. And that's kind of his personality too. So I think that it would be smart to put someone there who is, balanced and not going, I mean, the whole idea of free speech and then people getting banned and all of that, like it's difficult. And, I just think that I think it could work in his favor to have someone else, taking on that role and sort of being the target and the spokesperson and the one visiting spaces, hopefully, and being transparent with all of us still. That's my biggest fear, is that someone else steps in and it sort of becomes another Parag situation where you don't even know what's going on behind the scenes. So hopefully it continues on this path. Whoever he chooses, if he does so, hopefully they can continue this sort of like transparency and speaking to the users of the platform. I think that is my favorite part about Elon taking over, and obviously the Twitter files and just knowing exactly what sort of has happened in the past, and hopefully more clarity on when accounts are suspended, still following through with that transparency and saying why they got suspended, and, have it listed right there under their suspension. Like, this is how long their suspension is for, or indefinitely, and this is why, these are the reasons.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm just looking at the news. Keep us posted in if Elon does
sure
does tweet or reply to anything. Stephen, I know you were speaking.
Flex in the audience, because I can't find him in the audience. I mean, I tried to add him and it's not showing up.
Who?
Malcolm Flex.
Oh, Malcolm Flex. Yeah, I'll try to send him an invite. Champ, I know you have your hand up, and Stephen, I don't know if you spoke because I know you tried to speak earlier.
Yeah,
just jump in.
Yeah, just real quick. I think Catherine might have been onto something earlier when she was talking about how this is possibly more out of an emotional decision. And the reason why I think that very well might be the case is because when you look at the corner that Elon paints himself into, despite him having incredible business acumen and a trail of success, I can't wrap my head around under what advantage him putting out a poll with this of an absolute wording and the way this thing is framed, how that could why he would take that level of a risk. It just doesn't make any logical sense to me. If someone wants to make sense of it, by all means, I'm open.
I think Champ would be great to make sense of this, because it's like from the Web3 world, from the crypto world, like it's called a DAO. Like, this is very normal to us. You ask the community to make decisions. So it's like a trend right now, and it's gaining traction where it's becoming like companies are becoming almost like a democracy. So Champ, maybe you can touch on the point that Stephen's concern with making such an important decision through a poll, which is a valid concern that I think many people would share. The media would share that concern.
I mean, absolutely. And to be honest, I think that sort of dichotomy right there is the core reason why, as long as Elon is sort of at the helm of this thing, it's going to be really controversial. Because like you said, and sort of on the Web3 side of things, like DAOs and democratizing that decision-making power as much as possible has been very popular. But to be totally fair, right, 99% of DAOs have failed massively. And a lot of the time, the average, consumer, it's really tough, right? Because you want to democratize decision making, but at the same time, you have to sort of be delicate with the level of decisions you're putting in the consumer's hands. And what I'm getting here is that this seems like a really, really important fundamental decision that sort of, the traditional world and probably most of the business world is going to label irresponsible. And I don't. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you think that these polls are a sort of way of countering this idea that Elon Musk is this billionaire authoritarian that the media is sort of painting him to be? Do you think that by doing these polls, he's actually showcasing like, no, I'm not, and I'm going to follow through with what I am saying on this poll? So far he has. Do you think that I mean, I know that they can take it and spin it like you're saying, but at the same time, it sort of contradicts their whole thesis of him being this authoritarian figure that's just some billionaire.
Yeah,
I do.
like, oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Brian.
I was just going to say.
Oh, Brian, you're muted. Do you want to unmute?
He made a tweet right before that tweet saying that from now on he's going to do polls for big decisions. So I don't think he would have made that tweet and then tweeted this poll out if he wasn't serious about it. Whether he thought it would go this way or not is something else. I didn't think it would go this way. And I actually voted no, he shouldn't step down. And I got kind of a lot of hate for that. And people just, I think both sides need to kind of figure out what they want. Like, I mean, Elon, by going
the
this
Democrats
route,
just want to destroy Twitter.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's the case. I think that Elon's initial moves and politicization of Twitter in some of his tweets pissed a lot of people on the left off. I'd say some rightfully so, but I think that now they have it stuck in their head. Oh no, Elon has to go, even if he's going to show, hey, I want to change things for better. I want to improve.
What he does at this point, he has
I
to
think you're probably right.
Guys, just very quickly, Matt Taibbi is dropping more. There's more drops from Matt Taibbi.
Yeah, and I was just seeing that right now.
Yeah,
this is kind of wild. There's Matt Taibbi just dropped a screenshot of a correspondence between what I'm assuming to be Yoel Roth and, but it's redacted. Everything's redacted to and from. But get this, it just says starting to hear from partners, and then the follow-up message is Schiff's comm director redacted reached out to commend our work. So that's Adam Schiff's comm director reached out to Twitter to commend their work.
So you were saying about politicization, Brian, that Elon did it? Question mark.
You're asking me. I think that some of his tweets were very political in nature and very one-sided, and I think that if I was running the business, I wouldn't do that just because you're trying to cater to everybody. You want as many people as possible coming to your platform. You don't want to alienate anybody. So I think that probably wasn't the best move from a business standpoint.
Understood. But where I'm coming from is that we're seeing from these drops supplemental in real time that it was already politicized in one direction.
I agree.
So him attempting to normalize it to restore the business model, more so to restore faith of one side that's been marginalized basically by Twitter, that's not necessarily politicization. That's trying to make the business profitable because you've banned and alienated a large part of your customer base. So I agree with you. But in the other direction.
Yeah, no. I think that I'm not talking about the Twitter files. I agree there. I think like some of the Fauci stuff, it's just gonna split people. Just some of the tweets he made.
Yeah, if you're gonna do political stuff with Twitter, you have to do it when no one can see you, and then it's okay. If you do it out in the open, that's a no-no. It's very important to keep it hidden.
I mean, this whole discussion shows the debate on Twitter shows how such a media-centric platform it is. So the media gets more upset not about the censorship of everyday Americans through the illicit intervention of the FBI, but the censorship of journalists who were knowingly putting out information that they knew or had reason to know could place Musk's life and his family's life at risk. We have information coming out today from Taibbi's earlier drop. The FBI was intimidating Twitter for daring to say, well, we don't see much evidence of this foreign malign influence you're all talking about. And, they started demanding information from Twitter. How dare you disagree with us? Tell us what the basis for your information is. Demanding, essentially launching an investigation of Twitter for daring to disagree with the FBI's theory of the case that we should be censoring Americans in partnership with big tech companies because of Russia. So we have this strong evidence and quite, to me, dramatic evidence of FBI censorship of Americans in violation of numerous federal laws and and the Constitution. And what's the media concerned about? Taylor Lorenz.
That just really points out how narcissistic a lot of these reporters are on this platform. And I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to just see Elon just get rid of all of the legacy blue check marks for the media just right away. I mean, I just love what he's doing to say they're not special. And it's causing such a meltdown for them. I'm just cheering every moment of it.
That's the beauty of it, though, and that's partially why, again, the response is so vitriolic and it's just so outspoken. You know, if you have something that's been used multiple times as a mouthpiece for ideologies, agendas, and NGOs, and then you suddenly take that away because now you're decentralizing it, and the people who have basically not been able to counter or provide any pushback suddenly try to, that's going to really stir up some hornet's nests, and you're really going to have them come at you full force to restore that. And there's blood in the water. Let's be honest. Now that Elon's showing some signs of wavering, whether or not this is tactical or otherwise, they're not going to stop. They see it works. They're going to double up and triple it up.
Well, they're totally emboldened.
Bach and Frank, Champ and Frank, jump in, guys. I know you've been waiting.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that I'm just adding a little bit to the prediction from earlier, similar to what you were saying about the blue checks. My guess is he might launch polls that are only votable with with the blue check marks, and that could drive revenue if people want to participate in decision making and voting on policy and stuff. And just bring more legitimacy to who's participating, because that's the whole thing. The thesis, I guess, with the blue checks and charging for them, it would make it unprofitable to run a bot farm. Because if you have to pay $8 per bot, you're not going to generate that back. And so you would kind of bleed out bots from polls. So that might be a lane.
So I'd love more clarity, actually. It's good. So how much did you say it costs to bot a poll, or is it easy? Is it still possible now?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the last time I checked, it's like 10 minutes ago, I guess. Fuck. I'll be honest, I was trying to see how easy it is to bot polls, and it's like 10 cents or something per vote on a poll. That's what they're charging, so they're definitely spending almost nothing on their end.
It still works?
I didn't try it out. I didn't put my credit card on the website, but I'm curious. I don't know.
Yeah, if someone has more information in the audience, please DM me. I'm curious. If someone can test it out or tell us more about botting polls, if it still works, because I know it's really easy a while ago. And I referred to Elon's tweet about Trump and the comments there and Elon's reply. But I want to see if it still works now, because I know Elon's been cracking down on those. Because that changes the thing. It's just people that support Elon, they probably won't have the same incentive to vote no about him stepping down as people that hate him voting yes. That's generally how it works. So, we'll be really curious. If anyone can actually spot if some of these votes are bots or not, please DM me and send me some more information. I might bring you up on stage. Give us more clarity. I'll be very grateful for that. Tracy, jump in. Malcolm, of course.
I was actually going to speak to more of the media kind of circle that is being discussed here, especially with Twitter files, and just say that everybody has to understand there's a way that the media works in tandem with the intelligence community and these bureaucracies like the FBI and CISA and all of them. The intelligence operatives inside these places leak stories to the media prints them, then the FBI uses the media story as further justification for whatever action that they're taking. So there's a very symbiotic relationship between the media and these sorts of leaks that we're getting, because in a lot of cases, they're the ones that are helping to perpetrate that narrative. And so when you kind of level a playing field the way that Elon has in the past, couple weeks with bringing a bunch of people back who would counter that stuff, you take away a big, powerful weapon that these same people that are going to, they're going to the Twitter CEO or the Twitter, Yoel Roth or, Facebook's trust and safety team, and they're trying to enact their kind of worldview propaganda ideology across the platform by censoring what people can say. And then all of a sudden that ability is gone and the media is not as powerful anymore. So Tom can speak to that, I'm sure. Right, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, you raise a fair point. There is there's a dotted line between the media and some of these agencies that are out to target Musk. And we should recognize that the FBI and the intelligence community sees Twitter as an asset. That's what these documents show. They use it as a tool to, the charitable interpretation is they see big tech media companies as a tool to address malign foreign influence. And they want to be able to use it at all times, despite the obvious constitutional and lawless approach that results from that, which means spying on and censoring Americans in order to get it done for a threat that's immaterial. I was just thinking about this. If I were Musk, I'd be thinking of ways to not pull back from the fight, but to escalate the fight, release more documents, raise issues about his civil rights and the rights of his companies in courts and with official complaints to relevant agencies, demand accountability, ask Republicans what do they think about this, demand legislative changes and investigations into what went on with Twitter. Think of ways to increase the pressure on the criminal class that abused power to violate the civil rights of citizens. And, previous Twitter management, for instance, it looks like engaged in illicit activity that ought to be the subject of investigation. So when you think they're pushing, not because they're breaking the rules to go after Musk, not because they're winning, it's because he's winning. And so he should think of other ways to keep them back on their heels. That have, and these are all legitimate approaches I'm highlighting here, because they're not going to stop until Twitter's dead. And he's warning in his tweets, in his emails with his friend up in MIT and such. Twitter is on the fast track to bankruptcy. Okay, so much of this discussion about free speech might be academic in 10 months. Because we may be talking about the equivalent of MySpace. So, there's not much time here.
Can I just very quickly piggyback on just the last 2 points that were made? And I just want just a very small point, but I think a significant one is that in terms of media distribution, there's only a few ways to amplify media on social media, like news articles and things like that on social media through text. And that's there's only a couple of platforms that allow you to do that through text. The other ones are all, visual mediums, and that is Facebook and Twitter. So I think that's actually quite a significant thing. So it's a small point, but I think a kind of a significant element in this because those are the ways to spread news articles. So I just wanted to just add that briefly.
And I do want to just give a quick update for the space before I give the mic back to Malcolm. So I do have people DMing me. They tested, so what Frank mentioned earlier regarding botting. So they tested botting a poll, and it worked for them. So I've had a few people DM me. So obviously, botting polls still.
We should all, start botting that poll and make sure that Elon doesn't leave.
Yeah, Frank, if you want to do a tweet on how to bot a poll, it'll probably go viral. Do a tweet on how to bot a poll.
Yeah,
say everyone go bot.
Anyway.
Yeah, and then we'll get. Yeah, pin it above.
I think something that's probably going. He didn't put a time limit on it. Even if he loses the poll, he can just announce the next day. All right, I'll abide by your will. The CEO search will begin now. That could take 6 months to find a CEO. I mean, Elon's not going anywhere anytime soon, I don't think. If it's true that he doesn't yet have a CEO as he tweeted. But I suspect he already knows who he wants to put in that role. And this is all just a game that he's playing right now.
Yeah, got to be holding them in reserve. He wouldn't do this if he didn't have somebody that he was holding at least in reserve. But the question that I really want to ask is, just in the case of botting, like when you say bot a poll, do those come through all at once, or are they staggered? Because again, if this is
It's
another
staggered.
bot purge,
Pretty sure staggered. If it's like Twitch viewers, they stagger them to make them appear to be real.
yeah. And that would be the question I want to know, because when I looked at it earlier, it was, balanced. And then all of a sudden I just saw a massive surge. And so, you can see that in real time, chances are. Yes, son, I know. But, part of the issue that I'm seeing here is that Elon and Twitter are creating new ways right now to conduct, media and get the word out. And there are a lot of companies that look at that with just complete fear. And so when you look at how they're looking at what Elon's doing, he can displace a lot of media. Like, people are on spaces rather than watching CNN or, watching news companies. So why wouldn't they throw a little bit extra cash to some of these other media organizations to start smearing him? Because this is business. And another question is, what about the investors? Does Elon regularly communicate with the banks and some of the people that he secured funding from in order to purchase Twitter? Are they getting hit with pressure? Like, do we know this?
Tracy, jump in. I'm just going through I haven't been able to pay attention. I'm just going through all the messages. People like spamming me of how to buy polls. Frank, like, he opened Pandora's box, Frank. Everyone is going crazy now about Twitter buying
Well, we do know the Federal Trade Commission, according to the New York Times, under Biden, just sent in recent months Twitter 2 letters demanding to know, harassing Twitter with demanding if they're complying with this consent decree that was signed on to Twitter shortly before Musk came on, related to privacy data management. It's just harassment by the bureaucracy. So you can bet he's probably had to disclose that, or probably did disclose it to some of his major financiers. And who knows what else is going on behind the scenes. Remember, this is not the only area under which he's under, it's not the only company that he has. And there are other, Tesla's under investigation, and the EU is threatening him every other day over every decision he makes there.
Think about
they're not idle threats.
Think about, just because somebody wanted to allow more free speech on a platform and wasn't interested in having an institution, a think tank, an NGO, a not-for-profit, etc., guiding the conversation on the platform, look at what he's going through strictly because of that. It's pretty scary, no matter where you sit on the political spectrum, to think about what has happened just because Elon Musk has said, you know what, we're not going to censor this stuff anymore. We're going to let people speak more freely. And I'm not even going to say freely, because there are still limits, as we discussed yesterday, on what people can and can't say and do. It's not an absolute free speech platform. So, I mean, just if you just marinate on that for a couple minutes, that would be something, because you'll come to the same kind of understanding. There's something not right about that. There's something not right about it. And I was just going to add on to the point of, there are very few mediums to get news out there. Absolutely. I agree. I was banned from Twitter and my business wasn't able to use it. And it is definitely, it hurts. It hurts. And I think that that's another reason why they did it to so many people a couple years ago, all in one foul swoop. Outside of the normal everyday person, which, to be honest, I think they don't get enough of a voice here, because, we're all sitting up here talking, but those folks out there are as, if not more important, I think, than bigger accounts and bigger megaphones, because they make the platform what it is. Like, we're just blessed to have people, I have a big mouth, so people listen to what I have to say because I have a big mouth. But, there are some brilliant people that are consuming information on this platform and have important things to say that are not here right now. So.
By the way, Ian, can you just give us a quick overview? And I invited Jason on stage. Jason, I know you had your company. I think you were banned on Twitter because you were CEO of a company. But what's the overview of the drop by Matt? Anything new? Anything major?
No, it's just kind of confusing. I think Tom has been looking at it more closely than I have, so it might be a better person to ask about the
Let me
drop.
see. I'm just having. Let me read it out for the audience very briefly. So that's the latest drop in the Twitter files that we've been covering for the last few weeks now. So number one, Twitter file supplemental. Number one, in July 2020, San Fran FBI agent Elvis Chan tells Twitter executive Yo to expect written questions from the Foreign Influence Task Force, the interagency group that deals with cyber threats. So I think he's implying here, and you can go through the tweet and read the...
And this is like one of the tweets that he put out, which I think a lot of people are highlighting, is starting to hear from partners. Adam Schiff's comms director reached out to commend our work. So yeah, they're working hand in hand with the government there. It's kind of a mess.
I'm just having a look now. It just shows that they're working closer than many assumed with the FBI. I'll go to number 5. Number 6, the task force demanded to know how Twitter came to its unpopular conclusion. I don't know which conclusion they're referring to. Oddly, it included a bibliography of public sources, including a Wall Street Journal article attesting to the prevalence of foreign threats, as if to show Twitter they got it wrong. So is it implying that Roth is receiving pressure from the FBI?
Yes.
Yes,
massive.
That is
massive.
Which is why I talked about the
and the intelligence community.
That is the biggest bombshell tonight, I would say. That particular part that is under pressure from the FBI. Yeah.
That's why I was talking about the
Can
circle.
you repeat it one more time? What is it?
Which number tweet was that, Ian? The one you just read?
The one you just read.
Oh, great. I just chose a random
6.
one.
It was 6.
Number 6. All right, I'll just read it again. The task force demanded to know how Twitter came to its unpopular conclusion. Oddly, it included a bibliography of public sources, including a Wall Street Journal article attesting to the prevalence of foreign threats, as if to show Twitter they got it wrong.
So this is...
Roth receiving the question. I'll just read the next one. Roth receiving... Sorry, go ahead. Tracy, go ahead.
I just wanted to say quick, that's why I talked about the circular reporting between the intelligence community and the media, because of that one right there.
Okay. Roth receiving the questions, circulated them with other company executives, and complained that he was, quote, frankly perplexed by the requests here, which seem more like something we'd get from a congressional committee than the Bureau. And I'll read out the message that he sent to other executives. Hey, team, the questions we received are attached. I'm frankly perplexed by the requests here, which seem more like something we'd get from a congressional committee than the Bureau. There's a big discussion to be had about state-controlled media, which will be impacted by the label launch later this month. But I'm not particularly comfortable with the Bureau, and by extension with the IC. Demanding, IC stands for what, Ian?
Intelligence Community.
Intelligence Community. Demanding written answers here. What's your perspective on how to best to navigate? So I know we gave a lot of heat to Roth, and rightly so, but it seems that he
pushing back, but eventually they just went along anyway, right? And eventually even the policies were geared towards assisting the FBI.
I'm gonna invite the whistleblower, the FBI whistleblower, to come back and talk about this.
It'd be great to have on.
I'll just
It definitely gives us an extended view of the situation, right? So at first they were a bit hesitant, and then they were under a lot of pressure. The government basically strong-armed its way in, and they just sort of, laid back and thought of the queen, like that.
He's pushing back on written answers, not on answers. Understand? He doesn't want to write them down.
Yeah, because it's a paper trail, but it does look bad for both of them. Both the FBI as well as the, Roth.
This is gangster government. This is a federal agency threatening a company, intimidating a company, invoking third parties that have no business doing business or interacting with Twitter, as described here. Who was running the show? And this is where, of course, this is all under the Trump administration. So this is Ray. What was going on at ODNI? Who was running, quote, the intelligence community that allowed this type of intimidatory outreach, this gangster approach to big tech companies to fulfill again and push the narrative, evidence be danged, that there was this foreign threat that required the FBI to monitor countless millions of American citizens and then push for their censorship, for the Department of Homeland Security to monitor tens of millions of Americans and push for their censorship in the days and weeks before the election.
I've got also something else. There's so much shit happening right now. So there's a VC, Brian, you sent me this. I'm going to read it out, and Brian, you can elaborate on who the person is. I'll just read out the tweet that Brian, do you mind if I read out the tweet you sent me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so Brian just DM'd me this. Just overheard Elon, so that's by a VC, or Brian will tell us more who that person is. So that we haven't verified this, but it's getting a lot of traction on Twitter. And according to Brian, it's a VC. Just overheard Elon Musk discussing investment opportunities from the Emir of Qatar, Tamim bin Hamad, and other Saudi royals for his businesses, specifically Twitter. But from their body language and diplomatic response, it didn't seem very positive. I thought it seemed very positive. I misread. It did not seem very positive. They asked him to find a suitable CEO. No fucking way.
Yeah, so I mean, this guy could be BSing.
I mean, it's just a rumor, right? And we have no idea.
Yeah.
Well,
there's no video of this.
So his username is I am Racini. He's an angel investor, music producer. I mean, is it possible he was?
He's very negatively inclined towards Elon.
He is negative on Elon. So I mean.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
that's a good point.
He's negative on Elon, so he's going to say stuff that tries to tank the stock further for Tesla. And there's a lot of angry Tesla investors too. They're so mad at him.
I didn't have a huge amount of time to really look into this guy. So I mean, it's very possible he's making it up. I don't know.
Yeah, it probably is.
Can you send me a link to the tweet, Brian? I'd love to. I'll have the look into who this guy is, and we'll go through his other tweets. If someone can go through his other tweets, just give us an insight into what shit he tweets. Because if you just see a lot of tweets negative to Twitter, obviously that changes his intention behind the tweet. Okay. Someone's messaged me. They know him. Whoever messaged me, you're welcome to speak up about him. Or just DM me in private.
I also got a message from Theory Arias Ruiz. Are you familiar with him?
Just quickly before you say that, Ian, someone knows that person that tweeted, so I want to make a very important point. He has bad intentions, so I would not take that tweet seriously.
So I will not read out what you just DM'd me with.
No, I'm talking about not the person you mentioned, the Rayzini guy.
Oh, okay. So okay.
Yeah, the Rayzini guy, the tweet that I mentioned. Yeah, I would not.
You're familiar with Terry, right? You've had him on here.
Terry, can you send me what he sent just to have it checked if you don't mind, Ian?
Send it to you.
Cool. So thanks. Send it to me on WhatsApp.
Read out some bullshit.
Yeah, please. Jason, I'll give you the mic. I know you jumped in and you wanted to share something.
Yeah, thanks everybody. So I was I care about this topic very much. I was the former COO of Project Veritas, a group that was banned, broke very, very important stories, and was reinstated. I just want to make two quick points. Love this discussion. The first is the FBI wasn't just pressuring Yoel Roth with that email. They were phishing. They were actually trying to get data that they did not have. If you go to the 4 links that are in the email that they sent, none of them actually have any firsthand evidence of the supposed foreign election tampering that they're claiming was common knowledge. So they set that email up very deliberately to try to get Yoel Roth to confirm what they wanted to know in the first place. Again, no evidence in any of those 4 links they provided him. So second point I'll make here, again, I care very much about Twitter. What Elon is doing is important. Tom made the point, profitability soon is the requirement. But Elon has given his customers whiplash. And so right now, what needs to happen is a period of stability. This cannot be the Silicon Valley run fast and break things approach right now. You've rattled your customer base. Forget about the advertisers. That'll be cyclical. What they need to do is stabilize. Your problems are policy focused. They are not product focused at this point. So what I would recommend is slow things down, and then, right, if you've got 10 months or a year runway, you've got one good shot at a monetization product. So that's where you put your dev folks. All the other short-term technical stuff can fade. Anyway, I've thought a lot about this just because I care so much about the topic. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
By the way, Elon's away.
Ian's away. Yeah. He's. Did he tweet something again? Did he?
Yeah, I've been reply guying to him saying, "Yo, hop into space. Let's see." I got 2 likes on one, so maybe he's gonna hop in.
Ian, you want to tweet something out?
Yeah.
Ian, you
I'll
want to
read the message.
In the meantime, while you get it ready, I'll read something else I got. The team sent me. So there's someone, and let me know if you agree or disagree, Ian or Brian. Let me check where it is. All right. So this is by. They've got a lot of followers, good engagement. So I'll read out what they said. What we're also learning from the internal Twitter files, because we have so much going on right now, that Elon is exposing is this. And I'll read out what she said. The laws Congress drafted in the 1990s to keep the internet free and safe have failed more spectacularly than any laws in U.S. history since those implementing Reconstruction. So essentially what she means is that the protection we gave social media platforms, I'll let you add on to this, have kind of backfired on us. Is that would you interpret it differently, Ian, or would you agree?
Sorry, I blanked out.
No, I'll read it out again. I'll let you and Brian comment on it. The laws Congress drafted in the 1990s to keep the internet free and safe have failed more spectacularly than any laws in U.S. history since those implementing Reconstruction.
Okay. Oh, okay. I would say
that's regarding the Twitter files job.
Yeah, I would say they were written for the 90s. They were not, they're not future-proofed, right? That's the issue.
Yeah. I think that both political parties, people from both political parties, have called for Section 230 to be rewritten. I think that, like Ian said, I think that they were written for the 90s. I think that the internet has evolved tremendously in the last 20, 25 years, and there are things that need to be changed, but it's not easy to change them without really putting kind of an impediment in front of a lot of these corporations, and ultimately that could harm business in the United States. So I think it has to be done in a moderate way.
Tom?
The courts misinterpreted Section 230 and allowed the big tech companies to channel the left's approach to censorship and target conservatives. And so, Section 230, if interpreted properly, would protect the free speech rights more or less on political topics and public controversies, as Musk is suggesting that it be done on Twitter. So Section 230 isn't a failure. It's a failure of the courts and our political system to vindicate a normal reading of it. And so the fix, in my view, would be relatively easy, as we were discussing a few days ago on one of these spaces, which is to clarify that Section 230 is designed to allow social media platforms to take down illegal and violent content and pornographic content without fear of being sued for doing so, but they don't have the right to take down political content and other content that is typically protected by the First Amendment or other sets of laws. So that to me would be a relatively straightforward fix. But the fact that it hasn't happened suggests that leadership of both parties kind of like the status quo, which is censorship of the people that cause trouble. And the people that cause trouble for this political establishment are those on the right. And, Musk must be thinking, isn't there anyone in the Republican Party who has an interest in this? Because why am I being attacked with virtually no support from any political leaders on the Republican side in Congress? Even presidential candidates, where are they? This is like a core free speech fight in our nation's history. And our political class, their silence speaks volumes as to where they stand on it.
Hey, Mario, have you noticed that the results of your poll overwhelmingly 71% voted no?
Yeah, I was dying. I knew it was going to happen. I was just chatting with the team, like, Mario, don't do it. All the haters will attack. But I'm chill.
But you're not going to abide by the results of that poll.
No, I'm not crazy. You joking? No way, man. But I didn't want to say that because
you think I'm going to abide by the results of this poll? Fuck you.
Yeah, imagine he does that tweet and I just retweet. That would be sick. I don't think he will. I think I would really not be surprised if he does abide. But I also want to add like just today, like I know we were doing a space earlier about, I even forgot about, what was it about the space we did earlier, Ian? What happened that we did a space? I forgot. What the fuck is going on?
I don't know. Catherine,
No,
what were
something
we
to do with
talking about?
Elon. No, is Elon's.
Oh yeah. Because it's already like passed now, right? Like so, Elon's Linktree ban thing, and he just sort of kind
Jesus
of walked back a
fucking
lot of it.
Christ. That's
Yeah.
in one day. We did like I thought we were gonna have a day off. We did a space because of a lot of traction about Elon's tweet regarding banning other social platforms. A few people just went crazy about it, and then we just thought,
this whole thing is a giant prank, Mario. I'm starting to think this is a Charlie Kaufman kind of like experiment or something. Yeah.
But hey, I'm sure the metrics at Twitter are just blowing up right now in terms of engagement and users. Like this is just compare Twitter. Like I wasn't using Twitter more than 6 months ago. I started using Twitter. 6-7 months ago, I started really using Twitter. Before that, I had people tweet for me. Like listen to my speeches and make tweets and tweet them for me, and that's it. I wasn't active, so I don't know how Twitter was. So
yeah.
I was gonna ask you, Ian. Like, has Twitter changed? Like, is it more alive now? Because I know you've been on Twitter for a while.
It's like better than TV. I canceled my Netflix subscription. Okay, so like a couple of years ago, everybody was like canceling Netflix, and I was like, yeah, I canceled it, and I didn't cancel it because I wanted to watch.
Are you saving your $8,
Ian?
Are you just did you cancel your Netflix subscription so you can save for the $8 subscription?
No, obviously not. And I'm like mildly autistic, so the jokes I have to respond in a way that is like super serious, even though I know you're joking. I don't know why. It's a thing that I do.
I love the answer.
It's called deadpan humor, Ian. It's called deadpan humor.
Yeah. So I think a bunch of people have pointed this out. I think Alex pointed it out earlier in a response to Elon Musk. He said, note, he didn't specify when, right, that he would leave as CEO. And he has always stated that his intention is to leave it in somebody's capable hands, right? And Heidi Briones, she said, nor for how long. And that's exactly right. So he could literally say, hey, I'm quitting for a week. Let Lex Friedman take over for a week and see how that goes, that could be a thing that he does. And honestly, not a bad idea, like to see how it runs. But beyond that, I mean, he will only leave it when it's in capable hands, right? And right now, there's no successor, so he can't do that without completely burning through all his money. So he's not going to do that.
Well, he just tweeted,
those who want the most power, those who want power are the ones who least deserve it. Absolutely correct.
Yeah, but it's funny considering Lex.
That's funny because the fucking quartering guy was like, "Hey, I can run a business. Hire me." It's like, my dude, you ran a website into the ground in the span of 2 months. What are you talking about? And yeah, I am calling him out. Okay, like he has tried to blame me for that site's failure. I worked on it for a fucking week total. I wasn't even there when it's live, and he claims that I stole from him all because this fucking guy doesn't know how to run a business. He's all like hands on, but he's bad at running a business, and now he wants to run Twitter. Are you kidding? Like, my God, like the gall to ask that. Holy shit! Just give it a rest. And yeah, I'm sure he's clipping this because he's probably listening to us right now. Fuck it. Don't care.
If Elon wanted to make a lot of money for the platform really quickly, he could live stream 24 hours the Twitter office as he's conducting his day to show everybody what it's really like to be the CEO of Twitter and make people pay for it. I would pay for it.
Oh, yeah, people would watch. I'd watch. I think all of us would.
Yeah, Twitter is much more significant in terms of activity. I've been on for longer than I care to admit to, but Musk's interaction with my account obviously has increased the reach. But even accounting for that, I think I had 250 million tweet impressions over the last month or so, which is, probably quadruple what I would typically get in a month. So, it's much more active in terms of engagement and interaction and such. And the left is still here. I mean, for all the noise they make, they're still here in large numbers. And I'm not seeing any detectable, decrease in leftist reply guys in my accounts.
Yep, I still get the same thing. I mean, look at the replies to Elon right now, or even the replies to Mario, right? All the replies there are like, nobody likes you, Mario. Who are you? And it's all these leftists with their pronouns in their bios. It's really using it.
It's mostly
there's really no, to Tom's point, there's no realistic competitor. I mean, Truth. I have accounts on Truth Social and on Gab, and they're not competitors. I mean, I like those, but they're echo chambers.
Linktree has just replied, agreed, by the way.
Mastodon and Facebook, they're echo chambers. I mean, one of my, I was tweeting about this earlier. Twitter is the player versus player PvP server. Everything else is campaign mode on campaign mode on easy level, beginner level, or player versus environment. This is PvP on Twitter, and that's why it's going to be so popular.
And in some ways it's limiting you because it's pretty intense. If at least you want to participate in public policy conversations, so it's not for everyone in terms of people wanting to engage or willing to engage, which is probably the challenge if you're trying to make money off the platform, which suggests that there are probably other services it needs to be providing in order to be successful.
So I assume Elon's team can run analytics on this poll to see if it was botted or not. Does anyone have that sort of knowledge to know if that's something they have the capability of doing?
I think you'd need to be working at Twitter to determine that, to see how the votes are coming in and from where. Like if it's coming from a certain IP address, then it's a botnet, right?
Yeah, consolidated amount from the same IP address is pretty.
And that's what I would imagine they could get them that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine that they would have access to data as basic as that. And if so, I wouldn't. And I left a comment under Elon's most recent tweet. I encouraging his team to run analytics on it and then post the results.
Do you trust the results of these polls? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, again, I just want to tell people if someone could give us more insight on, like if you do some analytics on the comments or the responses, or if you've done any of that on Elon's tweet, would love you to either DM me the information or come up on stage if you want to. And by the way, everyone, it takes us time to reply to 10 DMs a second, so just give us time to reply.
I think Terry had something to say. He's had his hand up for a while, so might as well let him talk.
Where's Thierry? He's not here. Can you see him? I can't see him.
Oh man, he left. Okay. I guess I could read
he's
out
in
what
the audience. Read it out. He's in the audience.
I can't invite him, but my invite said broken or something.
All good, man. Yeah, do you want to read it out?
Yeah, I can read out what he said. So this is unverified, obviously, right? So this is just from him, and it's from someone that he knows. So it's secondhand, I guess. He says Elon has raised $7.1 billion to the acquisition of from 18 investors, including Saudi Prince Alawid bin Talal's Kingdom Holding Company conglomerate and Qatar Holding LLC, a subsidiary of the state-backed Qatar Investment Authority. In the delisting filing, it shows Alawid bin Talal had agreed to contribute 35 million Twitter shares worth $1.9 billion. So retain a stake in the company post-acquisition, so he is a major shareholder. He is in the picture, and this is the picture of Elon with Jared Kushner and a bunch of other guys, right? So he is probably speaking to the PIF, Public Investment Fund, Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund, and Jared may facilitate that. I guess that kind of makes sense if that's the case. I mean, if that's if, right? Like we have no idea if they even talked. It's just the VIP booth. So who knows?
That's a lot more realistic than the first rumor that came out.
Yeah, I agree. I want to go to Matt Taibbi. So I'm just going through the replies of Matt and Elon. Just not keeping up. Let me see if anything new from Matt. So I think the drop from Matt is done. That's good. And then we have Elon still replying to people. Those who want power are the ones who least deserve it. So the people that said they want to be CEO don't deserve it. Great. And then Lex Friedman, who said he wants to be CEO, said agreed to this one. So yeah, very interesting.
And I checked.
Go figure. So go, Frank.
Oh, I was just saying, and I also replied, and I just linked to the Twitter space, so I'm doing my part.
I appreciate it, bro. And it's too late, man. Like if he joins now, then he has he needs I'd be even though I'd love him to join, I'd be like, man, you shouldn't be joining at this time. I don't understand how he does it, and I would genuinely not be surprised if he steps down, and I would genuinely also be I don't think it's a bad idea to step down. Ian, what do you actually think? Ian Tara, do you think it's a bad idea to step down?
I do.
I
Yes.
do. I mean, the site is not ready for this,
And then what happens?
But he
I
could
think
still
that
get a
Twitter will
seat.
lose a significant amount of relevance that they've gained because of him being over and because of all of this controversy that sort of just comes with the territory of being Elon Musk. So I think that it will lose a lot of that relevancy if he steps down. Yes.
But do you think
I think being polarizing helps.
Yeah,
I think Elon
the
always made it clear
chaos
that it was temporary.
Yeah.
So Brian, go
That's
ahead,
right.
then Sam, then Stephen.
He's not going to leave. He's not going to leave. He's still going to be chairman, and he's still going to be tweeting actively. It's not like Elon's going to disappear.
Yeah, even if he's not CEO,
The
I think he can still be.
controversy will
It's
remain.
similar to when Putin was no longer president a few years ago. Brian, you
Right.
were speaking?
Yeah, but he was still,
So
prime
wait, really
minister,
quick,
right?
is
Yeah.
there a board? Is there a board for Twitter?
No.
Yes, no, there is. He
Is there?
dissolved the old board. He is the board. He is the one member of the board currently.
Oh, okay, yeah. For like legal filing purposes, he's the chairman of the board and he's also the owner. Yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah.
he will stay chairman after he appoints a CEO. He's not. He's going to be.
Got it.
He's going to be very involved. I have no doubt. He doesn't put that much money and sell billions of dollars of Tesla stock and just walk away. He's just going to be doing it with weekly reports and with his CEO doing whatever he tells him instead of him dealing with all the head-on grief of being the CEO in charge.
Yeah. I think as critical as I have been about how Musk has been doing some things these last few weeks, I think that it's best that he stay on and try and complete his vision. And if he was to step down now and bring somebody else in, I think the chaos within the company would really damage it. He basically laid off 75% of the workforce, and then you have a new CEO coming in. Some of these people that are working now are probably going to leave if he steps down. I think it'll just be a mess.
I agree with Brian, and thank you for saying that. Let's lay out some basic facts here in regards to Elon Musk's acquisition. What has happened? Brian, your account got revived from the dead as a consequence of Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter. My account essentially got revived from the dead because it was in the shadows for expressing what the previous Twitter administration considered wrong thing. Tara, her account got revived from the dead because you were essentially pretty much shadowed before Elon's acquisition, right? So here we have three voices on the panel that I can just think of offhand whose Twitter accounts and our relationship with Twitter has been completely transformed as a consequence of Musk. And the Krassenstein brothers certainly have different viewpoints than I do in a lot of ways. Some not, but in a lot of ways, yes. So I think just to acknowledge the overall net gains that Elon Musk has been able to accomplish in a short amount of time, regardless of what your political persuasion is it's incredibly notable. Yes, I think him stepping down at this point would be entirely too premature, and I'm still miffed as to why he created this poll.
I think the cultural shift has already happened at Twitter, and he always made it clear it was temporary. I'm not surprised by the poll, although many in this room may be. You have to remember that Elon's traditional base is actually the left. It was the left that got Tesla through production hell. It was the left that were, in California buying the early Teslas when everybody else was out there denying climate change, et cetera, et cetera. So the poll doesn't surprise me. I think what Elon's done at Twitter is vital. He's not just going to walk away from Twitter, but, it's created all this difficulty with his other companies. There are major voices in the Tesla community who are very disgruntled, calling for Elon to step down, et cetera, which I do not agree with. And I think effectively he has affected this cultural shift. The things that happened under the old Twitter administration will not happen. Credit where credit's due, that all these accounts have been reinstated. It was the right thing to do. The cultural shift has happened, but I don't think Elon necessarily needs to be, sleeping in the office at Twitter to have his effect. He's been successfully running multiple companies, incredible delivery on multiple companies. What he's done at SpaceX and Tesla is purely miraculous. He's done that without them being his full-time job. And right now, his full-time job for the last 2 months, or whatever the time frame is, has been Twitter to affect this
massive change. But I think now that he's affected this cultural change there, a more traditional CEO should be able to follow through. And, getting rid of the staff, it was all inefficiencies. It was very badly run. There were lots of people just, as we say in Britain, taking the piss, just getting their money, not doing any work. So I don't think that all the good things that he's done with Twitter are going to suddenly go away. But I think he's under a great amount of pressure from the Tesla board. I don't know what's going on at SpaceX. It's a private company. But I think there's a lot of pressure from other forces. And I also think this policy change this evening was taken so badly that this has made Elon a little insecure about that decision, because as I said on the Spaces earlier, I did feel it was a knee-jerk reaction, and I think it's being regretted very quickly. But my opinion is that the changes that have happened are very positive for Twitter. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. I think there's been a cultural shift. Elon makes things happen in record time. And I think, it's not such a great tragedy if he's not, literally sleeping on the office floor at Twitter anymore. I think that the changes will continue to improve the platform.
I do want to add, SpaceX, it's pretty much run day to day by Gwen Shotwell, and I think everyone knows SpaceX just runs like a really tight ship with her. I do agree that he probably does need to be back at Tesla. There's no clear number 2 person at Tesla that anyone has real confidence in.
So guys, just quickly, I've just got 2 quick updates, nothing too major. So we have someone that works at a Fortune 500 company that sells shoes, so you can make a guess who that is. And I'll read out what they sent me. I'm trying to invite him up. We have a team of 25 software engineers focused purely on bot management. They try to steal spots for raffles and special releases. The bots are more prevalent and sophisticated than anyone can imagine. So it's by a gentleman that works at a Fortune 500 company. I'm asking if he can come up on stage. So something to keep in mind, that anyone that hates Elon could easily bot that poll and has a strong incentive to do so. I just wanted to say that.
Hey guys, I just want to put out a hypothetical question, okay? Let's say this person who wants a job running Twitter, let's say in the past he used to give advice to pedophiles on how to hide their materials. Would you trust him with Twitter's operations?
Are you referring to anyone specific, Ian?
Yeah, I'll let you know who it is afterwards. But answer the question first. Mario, what do you think? Do you think it's good to hire this guy?
I'm sure nobody would say yes. Who's the person, Ian?
Okay, so I'll put a little surprise in the top there, so you guys can have a look. And this is for you guys in the audience as well, so you know who you're dealing with. Next time you see him, you know what you're dealing with. Just saying.
All right. Let's see what Mario. Ian has. Go ahead, Tracy.
Mario, Kyle Seraphin is in the chat right now in the panel. If you wanted to pull him up on Taibbi stuff.
Yeah, it would be great. How do I spell his Twitter handle, so I can send him an invite?
KYLESERAPHIN. He was your FBI guy from the other day.
Oh, shit. Yeah. I was going to... Fuck yeah. Thank you so much. I was literally trying to find him on WhatsApp, but I didn't have time to breathe. I keep getting DMs. There he is. I'm going to send him. No, finally. I've literally been trying to constantly, I'm going to go message him, and I get, taken off track. So bringing up Kyle, who was the FBI whistleblower that spoke on stage, DM'd you an invite. I'm just messaging him on WhatsApp now. That spoke on stage a couple of days ago, and gave us a lot of insight. Seemed very objective in the way he presented things. It would be great to get his thoughts on the recent drop by Matt, and any more insight he can share with us. So I've just shared the invite with him, and I've sent him a message on WhatsApp as well. I need to breathe. Jesus Christ. I need Elon to breathe so we can breathe. It's like every time Elon's awake, we have to be awake, because 90% of what we're covering recently is just stuff Elon sparks. Have you noticed? Actually, Ian, it's not like I thought I'd be doing breaking news on something happening geopolitically and stuff. All of it has been triggered by Elon. Kyle, how are you?
Pretty much.
Hey, Mario. How's it going? I hear you.
Yeah, good, man. Good. Thanks for coming back. You can always DM me on WhatsApp whenever you want to join. The stage is yours. But yeah, man, I'd love your thoughts on the drop by Matt and the pressure by FBI on Yoel and others.
So are we talking about the one that we just saw, the 6 that we talked about last time?
Yeah. You would love your take on it, and maybe give an overview about the drop to the audience.
Well, what I thought it was is that it's really dangerous, and I think it's incriminating. It's damning, where people were saying it's a nothing burger, and the reason why I think that is because the FBI is absolutely compelled from staying out of First Amendment protected activities. Like, they cannot engage in censorship, and moreover, the FBI cannot do by proxy what it can't do directly. So it can't have federal agents do that. It can't have a federal source go and do that, and they certainly shouldn't be influencing a private company doing the same thing. So, some people said it wasn't an issue, but I do think it is an issue. And, like I think I told you guys last time, but I'm a citizen and a father and a husband first. Like, those are all way more important than a job. And there's a decent chance the FBI may have to hire me back at some point, or that I would work in some other federal agency. But I don't want any federal agency doing that. It's really damning. And so the stuff that I saw on number 26, where they're on, tweet 26 is the one that I really honed in on. But the fact that they were highlighting specific accounts and they were going out and pushing them and saying, like, these need another look. It's really dangerous. It's incredibly dangerous.
Did you see this up tonight?
I did not, actually. I just got off stage. I'm at America Fest right now with Project Veritas.
Oh, okay.
So
you're referring to the old ones. Yeah, Kyle, I'll read out the one tonight. It's not many. It's a small number by Matt Taibbi.
Sure.
Check him out, and then just put your hand up, bro, whenever you've read them, and I'd love your take on those.
Roger.
Because as soon as you said tweet number 26, I'm like, I don't think we have a 26. There's only 14 or something on this one.
Mario, it would be difficult to overstate the political nature of the decisions that Musk is making right now. So whenever he's making a change in policy, it's not just a change in the operations of Twitter. It has political consequences necessarily. So that's kind of a new challenge, and it's not normal for any businessman to be in that position. And so as a result, everything he does is going to get tremendous feedback and pushback all at the same time. And so that's very difficult to manage. And my recommendation would be is to just, ignore it as best as you're able for a period of time until it passes, because it will all pass. Because, Twitter and much of the internet media, it's about not only what happened today, it's what happened 15 minutes ago. So what may seem like overwhelming for a period of short, in an afternoon, it's irrelevant the next day to the public conversation. So he should try to keep his eyes on the ball in terms of these policy decisions. But on the other hand, he also has to recognize the political nature of the decisions he's making, however unfair it is to him, and maybe make some calculations in that regard. And broaden out those, or increase the number of advisors who are helping him make those decisions before he leaps. Because if he doesn't want to have another day like today, where he makes a decision that raises all sorts of regulatory issues, in addition to the political craziness that he's suffering through as well.
Can we really quickly? Is Mario talking?
No, just sorry. Go ahead, Tara.
I was just got a DM
before Tara goes. Okay, go ahead, Tara. Go ahead.
I just got a DM from someone saying that they would like sort of a recap of what happened today, just in regard to the policy change, and then Elon responded.
It's going to take 2 hours.
Yeah, I'll summarize it in one.
I'll just do it really quickly. So basically, Elon had come out with a policy change in regard to Twitter rules, saying that you would not be able to link to outside social media platforms such as, or use your account just to link to those, such as Instagram, Facebook, and so on, and also use Linktree. He has since come back and apologized for the change without, polling all of us essentially, and said that from here forward, he won't do policy changes without running a poll to see what the results are. And now he is running a poll asking if he should step down as CEO of Twitter.
I'd summarize it in one sentence: all hell broke loose. No, I'm joking. I'm just the guy that I'll bring up the guy that talked about the one that works for a Fortune 500 company and talked about having a massive team of like 20 people or something against bots. So he just DM'd me, and I'll see if he wants to come up. Kyle, did you read the Matt Taibbi drop yet?
I am in the middle of them. I'm about 8 in. I'm seeing that basically it looks like that the FBI is trying to lead them by the nose, is what it looks like to me. And there's this is Elvis Chan out there that's telling Roth that we're sort of disappointed that you're not reporting that there is in fact government interference. I think that's indicative of when you have already assumed that there is a mission. That's kind of the way that intelligence agencies, or at least the way that I saw the FBI do it. It's the way that we handle a lot of the domestic violent extremism. It's like we've identified that there's going to be white supremacists. That's what we've already forecasted. Now we got to go find them. And I believe that in my experience from following around people that fit into that category, that such things were that the supply was outstripped by the demand in this case. And I think that's probably the same thing that we're seeing here. Once they've decided that they are going to identify a threat, they got to have that threat. Like that's how they've predicted their funding and some other things that go along with it. So when you say that this is something we'd expect from Congress and not from the FBI, that tells me that it's blatantly partisan. Like Congress is a partisan entity. That was my first takeaway. I've got some more reading to do, but that's my initial thoughts.
I appreciate you sharing it, and yeah, let us know your final thoughts after you finish reading it. I do want to ask you a question. If someone could check, because I'm looking at my poll, I have 200,000 votes. I'm like, guys, there's no, I've done polls before. I've done multiple polls, more interesting than about myself, and I usually get maybe, and that's tweeting them, not a reply to a tweet, and I usually get maximum 20, 30,000 votes, and maybe 40,000 if it's during the poll.
It's Elon Musk's tweet, and everybody saw it.
Yeah, but when I reply to a tweet, it doesn't get that much engagement to Elon's tweets. So if you could, maybe it could, but the point I'm saying this though is if someone could check Elon's poll, because he's done the Trump poll, how many votes did that get versus others? And the reason I ask this is there's someone that pinged me about the discrepancy between how the votes are changing and the number of votes. I know I'm kind of pressing on this a bit too much, but I don't know. I'm not sure if others find it interesting, but I'm just really curious because it's a big decision to make. I think some of you said he knows the answer is going to be yes. And maybe he thinks he knows haters are going to push it to go yes. So maybe a lot of thought has gone into it for a while. And this is a way to hint that he's getting people to vote on it, and then he takes that decision. Maybe I'm looking too much into it. I could be completely wrong. It could be just an emotional decision, and he didn't expect the answer. But I just think it's... Go ahead.
So I think Elon often uses polls to help make decisions that he doesn't want to have to make, or at least to be seen to make. The first time he sold Tesla stock, around $5 billion worth, it was following a poll. And many theorists and people who understand Tesla understood that he wanted to sell those stock because realizing his options and things like that. But he used Twitter to make it a political thing so that he could sell and say, well, look, I'm doing this because you guys voted. So maybe he wants to step down. Maybe this isn't going the way he thought it would. I don't know about the Trump poll got 15 million votes. So I'm not sure how that lines up with the current poll.
Okay. Now this one's at 7 million so far. There's 9 hours left. But I like the point that he made a poll about selling Tesla stock. Of course, all the people shorting Tesla will just vote. As the Fortune 500 gentleman said, easily, and Frank, who was on stage, easily just spend as much money as it requires to get him to get it to say yes, because they're shorting Tesla.
Yeah, but it's also politicized because it was about taxes. It was Nancy Pelosi saying he wasn't paying his taxes, and it was if I sell 10% of my stock, it means I'm realizing my gains and I'm going to pay billions of dollars of taxes. So it was politicized, but he also wanted the cash so he could exercise his options. So those who really know the inside of Tesla were like, this is a really clever move from Elon because he can exercise his options with the cash he's realizing, pay some capital gains, win some political points. He's a very, very smart guy, Elon, very clearly. I think sometimes he makes emotional decisions, but a lot of the things he does, he knows exactly what he's doing. Perhaps this was the point where he wanted to, start winding down his work at Twitter. He's on a little break for the football, et cetera, et cetera. It's been a pretty intense couple of months for him. He's under a lot of pressure from Tesla shareholders, Tesla board of directors, a lot of pressure every day about Tesla. And I think it's hurting his feelings a little bit. He replied to me. I actually have another Twitter account where I've interacted with Elon numerous occasions over the last few years. And he replied to me with a love heart thing. He hadn't forgotten about the Tesla family and all things like this. So he really does care about the Tesla people as well. And maybe this will just help him exit without it, looking like it was his decision. So you never quite know, what's going on in Elon's mind, but he's very clever about the way he does these things.
Ian, if you can invite Ian or Tara, if you can invite John Tangle1, John Tangle, as in tangling a rope, Tangle
Try to find it.
Tangle
I'll see
1.
if it's fixed for
Yeah,
me.
it's not working for me. He's the Fortune 500 company. He wants to talk about the bot issue because he's pretty vocal about his concerns about it. And I'll go to.
Yeah, I don't see it. Yeah, damn.
Yeah, it's not coming up for me. Maybe he has to follow us. I just told him to follow us so he can actually invite him. Because sometimes
I
if you're
don't
not
see him in the
following.
guests. Yeah, it's like too many people in here.
Oh, you can't search. No way, man. There's like 12,000,
Yeah, that's
13,000
why.
people, so you can't. But no, usually when you click. So the
I
way
tried
to
to do it
invite
manually.
someone, the way to invite someone, just to give you, I'm not sure if you know this already. So you click on if you're using an iPhone, if you click on bottom right, you click on the people thing. It gives you all requests, co-host, speakers. When you click on the icon of the two people, click on speakers and then scroll down and click on invite speakers. It only works if the panel is not full. So I can tell you offline how to do it after the space. Pretty easy.
Oh,
And you
I
can
know how to
invite
do
anyone.
it. I just
Okay.
He's not following me, and I don't follow him, so
Got it.
It's not really
Kyle,
auto-populating.
I think Kyle read Matt's thread. How serious do you think it is, Kyle? Because it does show a lot of pressure from the FBI, but I wanted to get your opinion on it.
No, I totally agree. I haven't really changed my thoughts by getting through the end of it. The only thing that I thought was interesting is that he did tag, the FBI's public affairs statement, which I think are not credible. And that's just been my personal experience with them. We've made allegations to Congress that have actually, gotten leaked or whatever else, or somebody in a congressman's office decided to share it with the media. And we were immediately told, like, well, that's false. That's categorically false. That doesn't happen. The one that comes to mind off the top of my head is an allegation we made about cell phones being used in the skiff by executive management, FBI senior management, on the 7th floor of the Hoover building. And, they came back immediately and said, this is not a thing. This doesn't happen. Well, we produced, the gentleman who used to do the Defensive Electronics Group, which is the bug sweeping teams that go into the skiffs. And he had reported, I would say highly credibly, because that was his job, that he found dozens of Bluetooth signals. So, and so then they immediately said, we take this very seriously. So the FBI's move is generally like deny it if they don't have specific allegation that they are able to face down. And then when they're faced with the actual proof of the receipts of something, then they say, we take this really seriously and we're going to investigate it internally. So unfortunately, it's not an honest, operator in this country right now, because it's operating on a political agenda in some ways, but it's also operating on sort of the self-protection principles. And that is that goes back as far as the FBI goes. It just doesn't, there's nothing more common than the FBI trying to protect itself and its own image. It's unfortunate that it's very tarnished right now, and they're going to have a really tough time doing that because people, this is bringing the receipts, I believe, as far as discrediting a lot of what they say. And if they come with preordained decisions and then they go out there and they just go and find it, this is what many of the senior agents that I speak to said, that the old days, you would see a crime and you would go and find out who did it. And now they see a person and they go find out what the crime is. And that is, this is kind of an extension of that type of mentality to me.
I appreciate you sharing this, Kyle. I appreciate you jumping in. And
this pressure is, he does business internationally. He must be very much aware of the interest in the by the intelligence community in his business operations. And again, the president of the United States, Joe Biden, said there should be a national security review of Elon Musk's activities. And so on top of that, we see in further confirmation that Twitter was operating as a field office for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And there was no distinction as far as the FBI as far as the FBI's approach, that Twitter was a private entity. They saw Twitter as a operator for them and to be run by them.
I do want to just quickly comment on some more information that people are sending. So a lot of people are watching the poll. So one person says, there's just too many messages about it, but I'll read this one, for example. He's been watching the poll. He's like, it's gone up 3 million votes and only moved 1 point towards yes, quit.
Yeah, that's insane.
And that's in an hour and a half minutes. So it's just like, go ahead.
Worse than our elections. It's like worse than watching the Arizona returns come in. I mean,
I wouldn't get into the election discussion, please.
I know, it's just a joke.
Please.
Thank you guys for inviting me. I'm going to step back so someone else can have a spot.
Oh, it's very nice of you. Thank you.
Well, he can keep the poll open for 2 weeks, and we just can count the votes until whenever.
The poll ends in 9 hours. He put it as a time a time limit. So I'll go
Well, it's 12
to
hours, I think, as of now. Yeah.
Kyle. I know you have your hand up. Jump in, man. Did you
Yeah,
see?
just
Actually,
kind of.
Kyle, I'd love your. Did you look at the poll, man? Did you see
I have
what
not.
Elon did?
No, I'm so catching up right now. I've been on a conference stage and I gave a short speech, and so I'm kind of unplugged and I'm just plugging back into you all. But I will say is something kind of interesting that Tom mentioned as a subsidiary of the FBI. It has to be noted how uncommon and bizarre that is, because in the experience of most people who work criminal cases, when you serve legal process to a private entity, almost without fail that I can think of. And this is cell phone providers, and this is people that have, different kinds of account information on you, banks and so on. It is their default position. And I have to say that again, the default position is that they will defend their both customer and their user base. And so if you don't serve legal process for sealing it and keeping it under wraps, and there's usually a deadline, 30, 60, or 90 days that it has to be refreshed, they will leak that, or they will, I will say, properly disclose it to their user base, to the customer that they actually have some sort of maybe fiduciary, or maybe they just have an obligation to morally in their minds. And so that's what happens by default. And so the idea that Twitter would be taking things and sharing information without legal process, that is really, really bizarre. I brought it up to Matt the other day, full disclosure, Matt and I have talked a number of times, and he's pinged me about some of the background on this for just kind of structural information. And it is totally uncommon. And the one that comes to mind for me is T-Mobile, which we always laughed about. T-Mobile is kind of a company that has my brother used to tell me only crooks and gangsters have it, and then I had it too. So he thought that was funny. But T-Mobile loves to give information. If you don't get your property, if you miss a day, they will absolutely go out and tell the customer that you are pulling their toll records, or that you are getting their SMS messages, or whatever access we have, whatever legal process. It has to be sealed regularly, even in national security cases. So it's very common for that to be the case. The idea that they were acting, in any way, just warm towards the FBI. It's kind of the opposite of what you experience when you're dealing with actual allegations of crime. And these were not crimes; these were political speech, just totally bizarre to me. So I'll leave it at that. But I think it's worth noting that.
Someone has their hand up. Just jump in. Good to have you, Scott. Ian brought you up. You can just jump in, man.
Hey, guys. Well, in regards to the bots becoming, I guess, more sentient, I've noticed that they really are kind of evolving. They used to just reply to my tweets automatically and I'd get one or two. But now what's happening is there will be an initial bot tweet and I'll go and look and I can't see the tweet because that bot has already blocked my Twitter account. And then what will happen is there will be subsequently 4 additional bot retweets to the initial bot that blocked me. And I've noticed this within the past, I'd say, month it kind of started. I don't know if that happened to anybody else.
I'd love more insight into it, because I have no idea. I thought that, because a lot of people were tweeting that bots Elon killed bots, and a lot of people lost followers and stuff. So I didn't know, is it at least improved from your experience, Scott? Or still the same volume?
It comes and goes. It will be 1 week I'll have no bot attacks, and then all of a sudden I'll get a mass amount within 24 hours. So
how do you know it's a bot though? Is it easy to spot, or do they look like real accounts?
It's all the same. It's usually they have the same language where they'll say thanks with 2 S's, and then they'll spell the word million wrong without an additional I. And so the language will be the same on many of them. And then the bots usually have, 1 or 2 followers, and they're all following about 60 accounts. And they're actually, ironically enough, usually Elon Musk kind of Tesla crypto bots.
So you think that, in your opinion, do you think that people are easily botting the poll by Elon?
I'm not going to go so far as to say that the poll is currently being attacked by the bots, but I think that certainly the mechanisms that people are using with these bots are evolving.
And what do you think about Elon making a decision using a Twitter poll, knowing that there is that risk? Does he know in your opinion, does he know the answer, or?
I think Elon is a smart enough man to understand that this poll is probably going to go against him. So I think you guys have theorized correctly that he probably has somebody already in mind, or he's going to use language against the poll to say, okay, I'm going to step down, but I'm going to step down in 2026 or 2027.
I think it'll be more generic. He's just oh yeah, we're starting a CEO search. I mean, then it's just sort of open ended at that point. Just my opinion.
Oh, I'm just bringing another speaker up, Christopher. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think, to the degree he takes a step back, it would be seen as a political defeat, and it will not slow down the attacks on him. In fact, they will increase to get him completely out of the company and destroy him thoroughly. One of the reasons I feel strongly about this, it's not because I agree with Musk on everything. I mean, he dunked on me a little bit because I said something negative about electric vehicles and carbon footprints. But, this to me, he's an American citizen. He's trying to do something in the public interest. He's exercising his rights as a citizen in terms of this private company. He's committed to free speech. He's exposed political corruption and corporate corruption, and is being retaliated against by corrupt media opportunists, government officials, with allied leftists in the non-governmental sector. And to me, it's just like Trump all over again. Different politics, different approaches, different backgrounds, but someone who came in thinking they were going to try to do the right thing as best they understood it, but it was the wrong thing as far as the establishment went, and the rules don't apply to him. So they put his kids at risk. They put his life at risk. They try to destroy his company. Everything is up for grabs. And so none of the rules of law and civility apply to Elon Musk. So we should feel strongly about
irony.
any success they have with doing
listening
that.
To this. I hate to interrupt. There's a great irony. There's a very right-leaning poll. I'm more central/lefty, which you might have gathered. But listen, guys, back in 2016, 2017, 2018, the right were the ones trying to destroy Elon Musk. The right were the ones saying that electric cars, all the nonsense about electric cars. So Elon's taken it from both sides. Elon's been voting Democrat for the last however many decades.
Who was trying to destroy him? Who was trying to destroy him? Arguing with someone on policy that they shouldn't get subsidies isn't trying to destroy them.
He's been accused.
No one was trying to destroy him. That was a policy debate about whether he should get his company should get subsidies, or his purchases of his cars should get subsidies.
It was the first major FUD against a listed company that we have seen in modern history. It was years of fake news against Tesla. A car was on fire, it'd be the first headline. We saw this for years. Everybody voting in that poll, for Elon to step down, are the people who supported Elon Musk between 2016 and 2019 before Wall Street got behind Tesla. Remember, every article on Bloomberg, CNBC, etc., were mocking Elon Musk for years when he was building Tesla. While he was going through production hell, the right were the ones giving him that hell. It's, I love the opinions from both sides. I'm just saying that we've got to be honest with ourselves here. Elon has not been supported by the right for more than the last 12 months. Elon is actually trying to attract people from both sides because he knows that for the Tesla mission, for the green energy mission to be successful, he cannot alienate the right. Unfortunately, look, I totally agree that he's been unfairly attacked by major political figures from the left. Nancy Pelosi, Bernie. That is not fair to Elon. Elon is a good guy. Elon is politically sound. He did not deserve those attacks. But then this whole debate has been turned into left and right. That's incredibly divisive. The people who supported Elon Musk and helped grow Tesla were left-leaning. And in the last 12 to 18 months, Elon's become this figure of the right because he was attacked specifically by two major, and also AOC, by three major left-leaning politicians. I don't support their attacks on Elon one bit. But what I will say is that Elon is not a right-wing figure. Elon is a centrist figure trying to do the right thing by the planet. And every time I hear anybody debate Elon Musk, they always want to make it political. They always want to make it left versus right. It doesn't need to be like this. I'm listening here patiently. I respect all of you guys. I respect your opinions. I respect what you've achieved in the world. I think it's fantastic. But I'm sat here thinking, I'm a little bit left-leaning, like everybody who was buying Teslas 5 years ago, because I was an early adopter. And it's like we're being attacked left, right, and centre, and we're the ones still sort of around now, years later. So why do we have to make this a left versus right debate?
Because Sam,
it's not.
because the left is attacking. The left is attacking him.
Elon. No, the left isn't attacking Elon as a
Sure
whole.
it is.
People in the left have attacked Elon, but the
The
right
organized
attacked Elon
left is attacking Elon. Just because they're individuals who support him.
The whole mass media, the
establishment,
completely against Elon Musk. He has no supporters on the left, apart from a handful of investors. That's it.
Yeah, but
the entire left is attacking
the media
him.
elite were the ones trying to destroy Tesla and bring it down. The one, Wall Street was completely against Tesla for years. Tesla had a $25 billion market cap, 2 or 3 years ago. Let's just remember that, guys. And Wall Street, every single week, the Wall Street was attacking Tesla, mocking Elon Musk, etc., etc. Everyone's got such short memories. They suddenly think that Elon's this figure of the right, this great savior of the right. It's not true. Elon is a liberal. He's doing this because he knows that for Tesla to be successful for the mission of clean energy and clean transport, he can't just appeal to the left. As we've said several times, Elon is a great statistician. He knows what he's doing. He is trying to appeal to the right now because he knows that the left were already in his camp. The left were the ones buying all the Teslas. That's why California is full of Teslas, and Texas isn't. It's not because because Tesla is somehow a figure of right wing economics and business. Tesla was a left wing Silicon Valley company, and Elon is very smart in trying to bring the right onto his side. But unfortunately, it's become so polarized. It's become quite stressful for everybody. It doesn't need to be like this. Elon Musk is a great figure. The world needs him. Tesla is an amazing company. SpaceX is an amazing company. It doesn't have to be so political. It doesn't have to be people on this panel saying it's the left and the right. I admit, and I completely agree with you guys, that some major influential figures from the left have been attacking Elon, and that needs to be stopped. It needs to be defended, and everybody who wants to get involved has a right to defend Elon.
Sam, I think you're completely wrong about the nature of the opposition. You may be right about Musk's general political outlook. It's much more centrist than, he's to the left of me, I'm sure, on most issues or many issues. But the fact is, the left is organized against free speech on social media platforms, against free speech for their political opponents. They've redefined what is allowed under the idea of free speech. Musk opposes that, and because of that, he is being targeted. The right is not organized around the principle of suppressing someone because of their speech. It's simply not out there.
It's interesting,
and in terms of Musk, and as someone who's been involved in the conservative, as someone's been involved in the conservative movement for many, many decades, Musk was never on the radar of the conservative movement. People oppose the idea of subsidies for corporations such as his, but there was no targeting of him for personal destruction like there is now.
The Conservatives weren't interested in Elon because they hated the idea of electrifying America. They loved oil. They loved the economy behind it. This is the realistic side. But look, I agree with you. But you say the left, and you're sweeping 50% of the nation into one category. The moderate left are not doing what you're saying they're doing. Yes.
Well, I agree. I'm talking about the organized left, which is different, I understand, than all Democrats and all leftists and all liberals. The organized left, which is running the Democratic Party, our major media institutions, the Academy, and our major NGOs, all are opposed to free speech, and there are tens of billions of dollars behind suppressing free speech and the First Amendment here in the United States. And Musk opposes that, and because of that, he's being targeted for destruction.
No, I'm not going to argue with you. You're right. You have a genuine point there. But what I'm saying is, don't throw the whole left of America, half of the population and the world into this equation, because this is the problem. This is what's so divisive. It's that a lot of people are being divided because they're being put into this category, and they're like, no, that's not me. I'm not thinking like that, but I'm being put into a category, so I'm going to get defensive, and that's how these
some
huge
issues
debates
divide us
come
in half.
about.
But Sam, on the other hand, some issues do divide us in half. That's life.
Yeah, but it's not 50-50. It's not black and white,
Well,
and you know that.
yeah, sometimes, yeah.
The moderate left are not attacking Elon Musk. They've supported the guy. The moderate left don't agree with censorship. The moderate left do agree with free speech. This is the
What
issue.
left-wing institution supporting Elon Musk right now?
Well, I want to before you answer that one, Sam. Just quickly, I want to go. I like you guys agreed on one small point, if you haven't noticed, which is great. I want to go to Christopher because I know he's been waiting. Just Christopher, you wanted to comment before we go back to Sam and Tom. You wanted to comment on you work for a Fortune. No, I can't remember your message. I brought you in for a DM you sent me.
Bots, Mario.
Bots, yeah. So you work for that Fortune 500 company?
No.
That's someone else.
I study research methods for identifying, different political dynamics on social media. Okay. And I was a part of, I guess, like a working group on information warfare with a really great academic named Biljana Lilly, who's on my podcast tomorrow. But the conversation was about bots earlier. So I've looked at bots from like individual kind of level all the way up to like big state and non-state actors. But I heard I think you had questions on bots earlier, and I was going to try to add some insight.
Yeah, that's what I'd love more insight on this because a lot of people are DMing me about it. We had Frank on stage say earlier, it was actually relatively easy and someone tested it. A few people tested it in the audience and it worked for them. So I wanted to get more clarity on this and how easy is it for someone to manipulate Elon's poll, anyone's poll.
Yeah, okay. And this is only my opinion, even though I have a technology background and an academic background studying political science and looking at these different workloads for bot farms. So, like, there are different types of bots. I'm not going to recap that, but I think on the simple level, people should know that there is some kind of human intervention in the loop at different points, depending on what kind of bot is being run. Think of a bot as like, I'm going to spin up Twitter, potentially in the web browser on a virtual desktop in some server somewhere in some other part of the world. And then I'm going to write some script, and that script is basically automation that allows the server to execute a process. The process could be as simple as posting in the comments. So like if I have a bot farm, that means I have a whole bunch of desktop instances running somewhere on servers. So maybe I have, let's say, 5,000 desktops running on these servers that all have 5,000 individual Twitter accounts on them. And then maybe what I want those bots to do is to, the simple one people talk about, say, overwhelm the comments. Or repeat the same comment on any post that includes, a certain maybe string of logic, or it could be like what they call sock puppet accounts. I'm sure you guys might be familiar. Those are like fake accounts where somebody's managing them. It's a fake identity. Sometimes it looks legitimate. And sometimes people will take the sock puppet, they'll build up the identity over a number of years, and they'll change the handle and the way it is represented retroactively. Sometimes people use those sock puppet accounts to impersonate people and then, kind of push some kind of narrative forward, whoever the actor is on the other side of the sock puppet. There are, I sell enterprise technology. I've implemented it. I'm sure that there are softwares that Twitter could buy and manage internally, but I don't know that they could eliminate all bots because you have to think like one of the big breakpoints is preventing people from spinning up fake accounts to begin with. And there's lots of different ways to get through the authentication process and create fake accounts at large scale. One of the most broadly looked at applications of bots on Twitter, so The academics have an API they can connect to Twitter to kind of pull data out and do analysis. But one of the most fascinating applications I've ever seen is if you look at all the media outlets that are on Twitter and then you zoom into the top 10, the media outlet that has the most engagement, at least as of last year, if it's different now, I'd be surprised, was RT, or the Russia Times. And so Russia Times might have 8 or 9 times more engagement than, say, the New York Times. But then obviously, as a lot of people may know, Russia has some decently advanced information warfare capabilities or tactics that they can carry out. So Russia spends a lot of time on Twitter and other social media platforms pumping its content up, maybe potentially even positioning it to look more legitimate than it is. But again, on Twitter, historically, you'll see that Russia Times RT has disproportionately more engagement than like a Wall Street Journal or a New York Times. And again, Russia Times is a state-run media outlet in Russia. They did one thing like a year and a half ago where they made it hard to search these accounts that they like labeled as potentially nefarious, but I don't know how they would prevent bots. I even ran automation on LinkedIn, which broke a whole bunch of the what they have an end user license agreement that we agree to by using the platform. So there's always engineers. This engineer was from Minds, but there's always engineers that are coming up with new, better, or more effective ways at maintaining these large bot farms. So hopefully that's helpful.
Shit. Yeah, that gives us a lot of clarity, man. I didn't know it's like. And last question, and just keep the answer short because I do want to go to Steve, who just joined.
Hey, there's an update on the Twitter safety. I just added that tweet to the pinned top thing. It says, should we have a policy of preventing the creation or use of existing accounts for the main purpose of advertising on other social media platforms? 20% is that yes, 80% is that no. So go ahead and vote. Do what you will.
Yep, there's a new poll by Twitter, which is fascinating. They did that
to the
poll
point that Chris was just making about RT and bots. I mean, has anyone noticed just how many followers some of these American media companies like CNN or New York Times, they have 60 million followers and no engagement on their accounts?
Yeah, HuffPost is what, 9 million or some crazy amount, and they get like 5 likes.
But I would say
I question how many. At some point in the past, they thought it was valuable to buy millions and millions, and actors do this. I happen to know Channing Tatum because we're involved in a business with him, and he's had 7 million followers forever with no change. So I mean, I know he's bought a bunch. A lot of Hollywood actors do that. I did an analysis of a lot of media journalists just the other day, looking at their accounts, like Maggie Haberman from the New York Times and a few others, Nicholas Kristof. These guys have millions of followers and the engagement of an account that has maybe 20 or 30,000 active followers. So all of these guys have fake followers. And there's just something going on in the media where they just buy fake-looking followers just so that they appear bigger than they are. And I'm not a journalist or anyone. But I mean, half of the people on this panel get more engagement than some of these major people who work for the New York Times, and I don't get it. What's going on there?
I want to add one thing. Like I was asking my team about this a few days ago. It's like perfect time. Like, why do they get so little engagement? Then I realized they tweet because they're news platforms. I think I was looking at Bloomberg at the time, and I think this is not a political subject. This is more of a business ethics subject, just to be clear for the audience. But I think like they tweet, at least for Bloomberg, and I was looking at it at the time, they tweet every minute or two. And when you tweet so much, it's hard to get too much engagement. And I think Twitter's algorithm, and I kind of sense that because we've been testing a lot of things ourselves, what tweets work, what tweets don't. And Twitter's algorithm doesn't really care as much about followers than you'd think. That's why you see some people, even if they did the right thing, they used to be big back then. Maybe they got shadow banned throughout the process, or they stopped using Twitter, or people just didn't give a fuck about them anymore. And then their engagement dropped considerably. And then you have people that don't have that big of a following, that get that massive engagement. Just because, like, for example, myself, I tweet, a lot of it is questions, which get more comments and more engagement. I do spaces as well, and I don't have that many followers. But then you get people that come up that do have a lot of followers, but they tweet very, very comprehensive tweets or boring tweets or not on topic. Like my tweets are about a topic that everyone's discussing right now. So I don't know how much of it is related to bots versus just bad algorithm. But it's a valid point nonetheless. Like I thought like the bot problem is no longer an issue based on all the tweets, but it seems Christopher, and people DMing me confirming what Christopher said.
Where
says
are
otherwise.
Where are the bots? Where are these systems run out of?
Well, there's so again, I'm giving you guys my opinion, but I'm well studied on this and also a technologist. Okay. But like, for example, when Russia was running its large scale bot farms that everyone heard about for the 2016 election, some would be automated and maybe that would be in servers somewhere, but they also were hiring human capital in Africa. So maybe I would prepare 100 fake accounts and I would prepare some processes. And this would be the same thing I would do if I was outsourcing my customer service to a call center. I'm outsourcing my bot farming to some office in Ghana. And then they're going to supply labor, contractors. You can't really chart the relationships. You can't see that the Russian government is employing these people. Then they send the processes down and then they have people sit behind computers and carry out the kind of manual part of the bot farming. So you could have, again, people can do this work virtually anywhere. And then there are, countries in Africa that may carry out some of the labor, or people in parts of India, Nigeria, Ghana, so the actual frontline labor could be, probably in usually poorer countries, but it just depends on who is who's carrying out the kind of attack, if you will, or who's getting the benefit. Like people said, it's not just about governments, musicians. Vice even did an incredible piece showing how musicians use bots. So.
And does it harm? I'm just curious. Does it also harm an account when you bought an account? The algorithm, if it spots it, if Twitter's algorithm spots it, they shadow ban you, or like you might get a short-term boost, but long-term it hurts the account, and people can easily spot if you're using bots. Is that correct?
I can't speak to that, but there are some strategies with bots that people don't spot, and they end up like they'll retweet what we would consider as a bot, or they'll engage in commentary with what could actually be a bot. So it just depends on if we're thinking about like an individual bot or like a sock puppet, like a fake account that one person is maintaining, or large scale bots that are trying to suppress speech or manipulate the algorithm per se.
Jesus. All right, man. Well, that's a great way to end the space on a somber note. I want to go quickly to Steve while we were covering the drop by Matt. We had Kyle earlier. Steve, I know we're kind of wrapping it up, so I'd love your quick take on the recent drop by Matt. Did you get a chance to read it? And it's a pleasure to have you, by the way.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yeah, I did get a chance to look over it. Matt's been really good to me and to Kyle. And I just, it's sad. I'm glad this stuff's just sort of coming out, to public light. I kind of had that long suspicion that has been going on. I think it's just sort of this, Kyle and I have talked about it, this information industrial complex that's existing. And I've kind of referred back in the past to that classic Dwight Eisenhower final address where he talks about the military industrial complex, the scientific industrial complex. I think now, we're definitely in a data / information industrial complex, and it's being a marriage of the intelligence communities within the United States government and surveillance capitalism, run amok, and it's just gross.
I appreciate you sharing this, man. And I'll send you through my numbers. You can message me whenever we have a new drop to get your take on it. I'll send you my WhatsApp number. But we've got Stock Talk as well. Let's see, let it connect. Be good to get his take. He's always been a great panelist to have. So
Have you
let it
joined?
load up for him. Yeah, he just
Yeah.
joined. Stock Talk, what's up, man?
I think he's still connecting.
Stock Talk.
Yo, Stock Talk, can you hear us?
Just connected. Yep. What's up, guys?
Nice.
How are you, man?
Yeah.
Good.
What the fuck is going on today, man? Help us make sense of what's going on today.
I mean, with the Elon stuff.
Man, everything's related to Elon today.
Yeah.
The World Cup, well, he's there filming it. The Twitter banning all these different the links. Did they reverse that ban, by the way, Ian or Tara? Did they reverse the ban?
They reversed the ban. Yeah, it was.
Which I respect so much. I respect so much, by the way, because I've always said this before Elon, before Twitter, for years. I'm like, anyone that admits a mistake and that has the humility to admit it, I respect massively, because it takes courage to admit when you're wrong. So I really like this, and it was done really quickly. So I just want to kind of give credit to Elon there. But yeah, Stock Talk, what are your thoughts, man? Good to have you again.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I mean, look, I think from my perspective, when Elon wanted to buy Twitter, I was fine with him owning it. I thought he'd do a better job than the existing group that owned Twitter. But at the same time, I've been, a Tesla shareholder for many, many years. Since 2015, I've been a Tesla shareholder. I've been pretty involved in researching and studying all of Elon's companies, and I'm just not sure, his talents are best suited in the day-to-day operations of Twitter. And, I know that a lot of people, feel that the things that he's done have been effective changes, and that the things that he's done, should have happened a long time ago. But, I don't think that in order to make his vision happen with Twitter, he just does not need to be involved in the day-to-day operations as CEO. He can do that purely as the owner of Twitter by installing a CEO that, he feels can achieve those same goals. I mean, Elon's excellence, and I commented this on his post earlier, Elon's excellence has always come from his ability to delegate talent. That's how he's built every major company he's had, right? At SpaceX, he achieved reusable rockets at scale, which has obviously never been done. And he did it by delegating talent. At Tesla, the same thing. He delegated talent. And so if I were to say what's his number one skill, that would be it. It would be delegation. And so I don't know why he doesn't use it now. I understand that from his perspective, he replied to Omar earlier when Omar said that he should step down. And he said, it's not about finding a new CEO, but it's about finding a CEO that can keep Twitter alive. So I see his perspective from the sense that it's been a cash burn machine for years. As a public company, it was never a good investment. I'm just not sure that he can get it. He can change the monetization model so rapidly in the next few months that it would make any difference, really. This is going to take a year or 2 years to steadily transition to the network that he wants it to be. I don't think it can happen overnight. And I think him stepping away from Tesla and SpaceX, even though he's still working on them. I'm not of the group of people that believe, just because he's tweeting, he's not working at Tesla or SpaceX. I think that was a silly assumption that a lot of people made. I still think he is, but markets are a lot about perception, and markets are a lot about sentiment. And I think the compression in Tesla stock, every major stock is compressed this year, but especially over the last 6 months, I think it's very hard to make the argument that it had nothing to do with Twitter. And that goes back to the question of whether or not you think he overpaid. And I do think he overpaid, but the margin loan has put enough financial pressure on him that he's not only had to sell stock, but there's clearly a perception from the investor base at Tesla that he's distracted. And what degree is he distracted? I don't know. But, I agree with all the things he wants to do at Twitter. I'm just not sure if I agree with the notion that his talents are best suited in the day-to-day operations. It just doesn't fit the bill to me. I think he's a visionary, and he should be focused on being a visionary.
I think it's important to note when we all use Twitter, we want Twitter to succeed, but it's also important to remember that, Twitter is not the only company Elon runs. So if he is putting more effort into Twitter, that's time away from Tesla, away from SpaceX. So it's important to keep that in mind. I think Stock Talk, you've made that point. You've made a really good point there. And I don't think Elon's vision will be impacted too much if he finds the right CEO that is, has a good relationship with Elon, etc., and sets a good board. So just my 2 cents on this. But yeah, Ian, any final words, man? I've made it. Look at this. Actually, Ian, you like
I'm just
look.
kind of anxious, to see where this goes. I mean, like, how serious is the poll? What the results are going to be? I mean, obviously, it looks like the bots are winning, which is unfortunate. But I mean, what he'll say tomorrow, like things. I mean, it's a new day. Tomorrow's going to be a new day, so it's more news for all of us. It's exciting. But it's also a bit, tiny bit nerve-wracking, right? I mean, we're all very invested, maybe emotionally, maybe some more than others, in the future of this platform. And I think the last thing I think the last thing any of us want to see is for Twitter to backslide back into where it used to be, which was, a dying platform. And Twitter is dying, right? Unless they add new features to it, and Elon agrees with me, it's going to die. It needs to be profitable. Can't do that
Yeah,
if you don't have
a lot of
video
people.
or
I think a lot
publication.
of people up here are familiar with Gwynne Shotwell, right?
Yeah.
Who's the president and CEO of SpaceX, and that is really Elon's MO. Find someone that's trustworthy, well-educated in the space, capable of daily operations, make them the president and COO, and when it comes to the big decisions, they go through Elon anyway, right? Should be the same thing effectively with Twitter, in my view.
Yeah, that would be perfect. Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't think he's found a guy yet. Maybe it's Lex Friedman. Who knows? I mean, I don't think he's a business guy, but who knows? I mean, he has a chance to prove himself, and if he does pick him, then why the hell not? I'm rooting for him. I want him to succeed.
Yeah, Lex is a smart guy. Go ahead, Tara.
Where did the Blake Masters rumor begin, or is it a rumor, or was there actually talk?
That's just a rumor. Yeah.
There's another talking about rumors. I did get someone. I told him to send me the evidence, but I lost his DM. He's like, a lot of people are talking about Kushner being the new CEO of Twitter.
No.
You saw that rumor as well?
They were pictured next to each other. No, he's too busy with other stuff. No, he's got other operations to run, so I don't think it's Kushner.
I did a favor for. Go ahead, Tara.
Sorry, I was just going to say I'm just nervous. I'm going to have to go delete a bunch of tweets in case they're not for free speech. My recent tweets.
Talking about tweets. I did a tweet now, just giving some tips. Ian, you're going to really like my tips. I'm a CEO of a company, so I did a list of tips for the new CEO that I've just tweeted out. I've pinned it above. Yeah, have a look at it. I think the new CEO will learn a lot from this and get a good roadmap for how to lead Twitter. It's not a long, it's only 3 points that
I'll read it out. Yeah, I'll read it out. You said, if I was CEO of Twitter, I'd 1, quit, 2, get rehab, and 3, have trauma from ever being a CEO again. For all Twitter CEO applicants, be careful for what you wish for. I think that's true. Yeah, I mean, it's a nightmare job, right? It might be one of the worst jobs in the world. You have politicians leaning on you. You have your adversaries leaning on you, and you have trolls from every side, and you have to be active on Twitter. I don't agree with Jack's management of Twitter because he was offline. He was never using the platform. He had no idea, but day to day, he was out of touch, and that's quite obvious in how he let the place, be run to the ground, and that's unfortunate. I mean, he's better suited for engineering projects, I think, but no, I mean, I think the CEO would have to be as hands-on as Elon is, maybe, and have a thick skin, can't have a thin skin and just cave to, whoever, like Taylor Lorenz starts crying. You can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to start banning libs of TikTok. No, you can't do that, right? You have to stick by a set of principles that Elon could be the one writing, right? Elon has to say, hey, here's the mandate, follow it to the letter, and, everything else is up to you.
And I think whatever happens, Elon's
the saga is worth.
Sorry, Mary.
The saga is worth pursuing and covering as closely as you're doing, Mario, which is a public service. I know, everyone has reasons for doing these spaces, but this is a public service you're performing, so I really appreciate it.
So I think people need to understand that Elon's not going to go anywhere. He's been on Twitter every day for many years.
I was getting a compliment. Like, let him finish the compliment.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Forgot the rules of compliment.
No, all good, Sam. Sorry.
So this is an historic fight we're in, and and I just hope we're all in it, in the sense that tens of millions of Americans, it's now been shown, have had their free speech rights suppressed as a result of illicit collusion between these big tech companies and the government and nefarious outside actors and political parties. And Twitter, has it stopped completely at Twitter? Maybe not. it's going full throttle over at Google and Facebook. So how this battle goes in Twitter could have significant impact on the First Amendment rights of Americans for generations. So we can't cover it closely enough and educate Americans about what's at stake as in enough detail.
Sam, go ahead. Thanks a lot, Tom. Sam,
No,
sorry to
I mean,
interrupt you, man.
No, sorry, man. I know the compliments are very, very important times.
No, it's a joke. No. For everyone.
No, I know.
Go ahead, man.
No, I think that to reassure people, although I'm obviously more on the left than a few people in this panel, I think the changes that Elon has put in place aren't going to go anywhere, even if he stepped down right now. And Elon is going to be on this platform every single day. He still owns it. He took it over for a reason. He's very passionate about it. But, absolutely bang on. This is not the best role for Elon, sitting, in the offices every day, overseeing individual departments. That's not what Elon does. Elon's a visionary. He puts people in place. He's incredibly efficient with his time. He can achieve miracles in 10 minutes that some people can't achieve in a lifetime. So I don't think anybody has to have any fear that their free speech is going to disappear, that their platform is going to be taken away from them again. That's not going to happen. Elon's effect is here to last. I think he was always just going to take over temporarily. He made that clear at the beginning. And he probably feels like, he's impacted in the way he needs to, and now he needs to turn Twitter into a business rather than a daily controversy with changes and God knows what's been going on. So I think everybody's safe, and I think the platform's going to continue to go in the right direction.
And I brought Farzad on stage as well. I saw one of your tweets, Farzad. I'd love to get your take on all this.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting me to the speaker panel here. For those that aren't aware, so I've been following Elon for like 10 years. I've been an investor in Tesla since 2012. I worked at Tesla from 2017 to 2021. Big fan of his ventures and whatnot, and obviously following Twitter, and I got a YouTube and all that stuff. So it's been a really interesting thing. I think Sam kind of nailed it here. The intention was always to call it the public facing leader of Twitter, to be quite temporary. I think the poll today is very legitimate, but I think he already has the leader picked out. I really do think so. I think this is just allowing the public to maybe feel like they're part of picking the new CEO, or of being part of sort of voting on it. But I think Elon is in a situation right now where he does feel quite a bit of pressure from a lot of different points. You have to remember that this guy still is he's running SpaceX. He has a public company in Tesla. He has a very large investor base with that company. If you've been following that space, I think Stock Talk sort of covered it very, very well when I jumped on the panel here. There's noise. I mean, there's noise. He still has responsibilities to do from a public perspective. And although all the things he's done for Twitter, I would argue, have been very positive, including today. Somebody mentioned, he sort of went back and fixed one of the errors that he's made. I think, again, shows the type of leader that he is. So the way I'm looking at this whole thing is that I do believe Twitter is going to continue improving at a very, very rapid pace. If there's one thing Elon does extremely well, is building cultures of innovations at companies. I mean, look at SpaceX, freaking landing rockets. Basically, they did 3 launches in like 24 hours or something. You got Tesla, but that's going crazy. So that sort of culture is going to apply to Twitter. And so we should continue seeing the sort of improvements we have been thus far. It's just it's going to have a different public-facing leader, be it Lex or somebody else that he trusts. It's going to be that new face. I think a lot of folks might be surprised by the pick, because Elon is very unorthodox in the way he picks leadership. But the one track record he has is that he's extremely impactful and very effective when it comes to that perspective. But then the bigger thing is that even though the public face might be different, the dude's going to be 100% involved behind the scenes. He still spent $44 billion to buy this damn thing, So that's how I see it. I see it as a positive for really everybody. I see it as a positive for Elon to get himself outside of the target zone right now. I think maybe his car getting jumped by that crazy person in California maybe was a little bit of a wake-up call that says, hey, maybe I need to get myself out of this sort of weird situation I'm on maybe a little bit quicker. I do have family. I do have a public company. And so maybe it accelerated his plans to move towards that direction. But again, this is just speculation. But if there's one thing I'm sure of, is that Twitter's future is still tremendously bright. because if there's one thing Elon does really well is build really successful businesses. So I'm very excited to see where it goes.
Farzad, I've just sent you a DM, man. I'm really glad I brought you up on
That was
stage.
great. That was very white. It was like a white pill. I know a lot of people are very anxious. I certainly am. And people, like a lot of people are fighting this whole thing, right? They're like, oh, Elon's getting in a lot of trouble. He's stressed, blah 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 blah. But yeah, I mean, if you look at his track record, the guy's a vision, right? He's got a vision, and you'd be stupid to bet against it. So I think Twitter's in good hands. It's just it needs time to work itself out.
And I do want to just read one thing before I go to Stephen and Stock Talk. Just one thing someone sent me. I work in IT for a Fortune 15 company. So we had a Fortune 500 earlier. This is 15. With some of the highest cybersecurity known, government-provided security. And we still get bot emails and continuous hack attempts daily. The bot AI has become so smart. It's so smart in how to get past security that it cannot be 100% stopped. They are hijacking legitimate IP addresses, stimulate email addresses that only have one letter, and he puts all that complicated stuff, piggyback legitimate emails to get into employee emails, etc. I can also tell you that the government has infiltrated our company to censor people in relation to COVID. Okay, it gets on, but forcing our leadership to silence employees. But that's off topic. But yeah, so again, another person I've asked and send me more information. But it seems that the reason I'm like focusing a lot on this, because I just think that important decisions like this being made on polls that don't have better systems in preventing polls is just risky. So that's why I keep stressing on that point. But Stephen, Stock Talk, go ahead, guys.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think some people, maybe people who don't have market experience, whether it's public markets or asset markets in general, and a lot of, I think the audience on FinTwit and Twitter in general is, whether they're kids or young adults or even older adults that started being exposed to the market just 2 years ago in 2020. If you take a step back and you look at Elon's portfolio of companies, there's a reason why he's still at the helm of Tesla. When you look at SpaceX and what Gwynne Shotwell has done, and if you look at how much Elon trusts her, I mean, she handles practically all of the day-to-day operations at SpaceX. Elon is still there for launches, for major, developments, but she handles practically everything. Why is that? Last week, SpaceX, according to their offer to sell insider shares, it values the company at $140 billion. That's a big company. You would think, right, for the people that are viewing this from an emotional lens, and what I mean by an emotional lens, from the people who are fans of Elon, which I am and a lot of people up here are, it's this idea of like, oh, I don't want him to step away from the CEO role because people feel like he's going to lose control over the company. It's just not how it works at all. Elon still dictates everything that happens at SpaceX, despite him not being the president and COO. He dictates everything that happens at Neuralink, despite him not being the president and COO. And so, a lot, like roles, especially executive roles, and Elon has even made this joke before, like CEO doesn't really mean anything. It's just an arbitrary title that's given to people that generally lead public companies. The reason Elon appointed Gwynne to SpaceX, the reason he appointed a president to all of his other portfolio companies, but stayed at the helm of Tesla, is because public perception does not impact private valuations the way that it impacts public valuations. Twitter is no longer a public company. If Elon had kept Twitter public, or if Twitter had still been public, then yes, you can have the perception conversation and say, look, the stock would be more valuable in a public setting with Elon as CEO. That makes sense. Okay. Tesla stock, if Elon stepped down as Tesla CEO, Tesla stock would crater. Would absolutely crater, okay? Because the valuation of Tesla stock depends on the growth perspective that has never been achieved for an automobile company ever. And that's why it's worth so much. And if Elon stepped down there, then the public perception would impact the value of the company. That doesn't happen with private companies, and that's precisely why he needs to appoint a CEO of Twitter. It's not a public company anymore. The perception doesn't matter, and because the perception doesn't matter, he has to value his time and efficiency. He should be at Tesla as often as he can, and SpaceX where it's appropriate.
I thought he wasn't CEO and he was chief twit anyway.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I mean the role, right? Like the office.
Yeah, and he said head of Twitter. He did say CEO.
Yeah, people are like emotionally protective of the title of CEO. And especially people who are not market
Elon, I think Elon, hold on, Stock Talk. Didn't Elon himself say once, he made a tweet a long time ago because I shared it with my team. that CEO is just a title, and he made fun of it. I think it was him, and then he even changed his title once to chief, janitor or something like that, just to mess around with the SEC.
He's a techno king of Tesla. That's his actual title.
And Master of Coin.
Master of Coin.
Is a CFO, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, look, it's just, these are arbitrary titles, right? Like, even if you look at C-suites in public companies or private companies, there's many companies, even companies that I know personally, where the CEO does magnitudes more important work than the CEO does. And so it just doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, Elon is the leader of all of those companies in his portfolio: Twitter, Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, Boring Company. He decides what happens there. And yeah, is he going to make every granular decision? No. And for people to want him to is actually silly. And I think that's where my point really is like this emotional charge for people who are fans of Elon to say, well, I want him to be making every decision. No, you don't. Because if Elon was making every decision at all 6 of those companies, he'd have no time. And he already doesn't have time. So, we have to value his time. An hour of Elon's time is infinitely more valuable than an hour of any of these people's time. So if he can find somebody he trusts to allocate, to delegate, then I think that's the best answer here. Like, I really hope he does step down. I know a lot of people might be on the other side of that, but I really hope he does step down from Twitter.
So here's my question, and I guess maybe a little devil's advocate. I agree. He's very skilled in delegation. Obviously, he's proven that with his portfolio of companies. At this juncture, so quickly, less than 2 months into taking over Twitter, why so quickly to jump over to Tesla? So to me, I guess the point I'm maybe trying to bring up for discussion is this somewhat alarming for Tesla shareholders? Are things not sunshine and rainbows? Obviously, there's a significant economic landscape, monetary policy shifting, that we've seen, and Elon started to be vocal about that on Twitter over the past couple days, and he's definitely shifted from Tesla is going to be more valuable than Apple and Saudi Aramco combined to, well, Tesla's not able to
TSDR,
avoid.
do you have a position in Tesla? Can I just ask you just to be upfront and transparent?
I do not. I am all cash at the end of every evening in my trading account and my long-term account. I have 0 shares of Tesla, which is unfortunate. Because I wish I did, and I can't wait to. So I guess my question is him shifting over his main focus back over to Tesla somewhat concerning, given some recent headlines of maybe some demand decreases and some other potential issues. Is anyone concerned about that?
So I don't think it's concerning. I'll explain the Tesla demand curve. So obviously, anytime you have stocks that are trading at forward valuation, so when you look at tech and growth stocks, there's a reason that tech and growth stocks are the first to sell off during a rate hike cycle. And the reason for that is this is a simple way to put it, but if you think of interest rates as the cost of money, okay, and this is a simplification, but it'll help people who don't understand get my point. If you think of interest rates as the cost of money now, right? So if interest rates are X% today, that's the cost to borrow money today. And you look at these growth and tech companies that are being valued by what they're going to do 10, 12, 13 years in the future. Those cash flows 10, 12, 13 years in the future have to be discounted because the interest rates are higher now, right? It's more expensive to borrow money today. So that's why growth and tech stocks suffer. So that's the reason why most of these stocks have crumbled in the last calendar year. And that goes for most growth and tech stocks in general, right? When it comes to Tesla, the demand problem is just hilariously misinformed. The headlines have been there, but the people that are writing the headlines, these journalists, have no idea how businesses work. So when you look at the auto loan market, right? Look what's happened to
very quickly. Even Morgan Stanley just on Friday cut pretty drastically. 2023 projections.
So I'll explain why the demand curve works that way with automobiles. So you've seen used car prices come down significantly the last 4 months. In fact, that's been a contributor to lower CPI as well. But if you take used car prices out of the picture and you just look at the auto loans market, when rates are going up, like we've seen what's happened to realized mortgage rates, right? We jumped to like 7% realized mortgage rates last month. The car loans have the same effect. When interest rates are going up, cars are more expensive to buy as well. The monthly payments are higher. And so it's not that the demand for the product goes down. It's that the demand for cash goes up. And that's what happens in these interest rate cycles. And because of that, you see compression in these businesses more than you do in other businesses. The idea that Tesla has a demand problem is hilarious, patently hilarious, because for multiple reasons. A, all of their factories are not scaled. B, they just landed ground in Nuevo Leon in Mexico to build a new gigafactory. They wouldn't be doing that if they had a demand issue. And C, you have exponential growth in overall EV demand year over year, every year. And so if we were at the tail end of the bell curve, if we were at, 60% EV adoption globally, and then you wanted to say, look, Tesla has a demand problem, we can entertain that argument then, but we're a long way from there. At 5%, penetration globally for electric vehicles is nothing. It's nothing. 95% of cars on the road are still internal combustion engine vehicles. That is an exponential demand curve. And it's winner agnostic, right? When we think about picking winners in an industry based on demand, it's usually difficult because you have to find the differentiators, you find the companies that have competitive advantages. In this case, from 5%, we maybe hit an inflection at 30 or 40% adoption. That's a huge runway. That's millions and millions of more vehicles. So the demand problem is overdone. The only concern I would have is multiple compression and where that flat lines. And I think next year we could have more multiple compression headed into September. If I were to just spitball, I'd say September is when I'd be looking for the Fed to pivot. But again, that's going to depend on the data that comes in.
Brother, Stock Talk, I want you to hit me up next time there's a Fed meeting. I want to stream it live and talk about it. I wanted to do it a few days ago, but I was just exhausted. But yeah, I would love you to hit me up and would love you on that panel. I think it would be great to have you.
We can do the next CPI if you want.
Yeah. You have to be there. Farzad, I'll give you the final word. I don't know if Piotr and Fidget want to add anything to kind of wrap up the conversation.
I just wanted to add two things to what Stock Talk's talking about, which it's super. It makes perfect sense here. The other two things is IRA in the United States, EV tax credits is kicking in January. That's a global trend where most world governments are going to be essentially subsidizing EVs around the world. The U.S. is taking a big step. And then the other one is Tesla. From an EV standpoint, they almost have 100% of share of profits in the EV industry. The only other automaker that makes it nearly profitably is BYD in China. They're like single digits net margins on their EVs. Everybody else loses money on EVs. So if there is, for whatever reason, a demand issue and it's a pricing problem, Tesla is the only one that's equipped to actually lower the prices and still make a ton of money. So 100% correct. I'm 100% on board with Stock Talk. The demand will not be an issue for EVs, not just for Tesla, but EVs period for decades. So
last thing I'll say on that exact point is that Tesla is the only automobile company in history that has 100% margin addition. Nobody else has that, right? FSD is pure margin, and you can sell it on every car. Are you going to sell it on every car? No, but no automobile company in history has had that type of software upgrade that you can sell at that high of a price point to sustain profitability. Not to mention margin per vehicle. Tesla has the highest margin per vehicle in automobile history, and it's like not even remotely close. It's massively ahead of anyone else.
Fidget, any final words before I let Tara and Tom wrap it up?
Sure. I think what we're gonna.
Your mic is audible this time. Big day. Finally, it's not great. It's actually it's the worst on stage right now. Just FYI, but at least we can understand what you're saying.
Thank you. It's my girlfriend's fault. She made me get headphones so she doesn't have to listen to fucking Spaces all day. I think there's a huge looming bear, which is 2008. I represented homeowners on a large scale in terms of subprime mortgages and fraud and recuperation. The subprime right now is hugely in terms of cars and credit cards, and the issue becomes how do you actually recoup? So most of that is not actually in Tesla vehicles or EV vehicles in general. So when that does come to light, it's going to be a really interesting play in terms of value of companies that actually did thoughtful and ethical, for a lack of different words, licensing deals and sale deals. The last thing I wanted to say, and it's directly related to what I was trying to say earlier, is Elon is an incredible businessman, but he's spread himself thin. The idea of DAOs, or allowing communities to have ownership in decision-making, allows him to step back and say, you made these decisions, not me, and also allows him to run businesses where there's social and emotional aspects to a business that he doesn't and shouldn't have to deal with. So, in my opinion, the most effective way for him to move forward with his businesses is to allow Twitter to be run by twits and to focus on taking us to the moon.
Taking us to the moon. That's you wanted to end it that way. That was the first thing Elon ever said when he joined MySpace the first time. Doge to the moon. Tom, final thoughts on this? I appreciate you always joining, Tom, and giving us insight into different topics. And would love your final thoughts on what happened today, because there's been a lot.
Well, I think we've had a pretty good overview, thank you, Mario, of the pressure that Elon Musk is under here. And we received some reassurance from folks who follow him and have followed him much more closely than someone like I have, like someone like me has over the years, that, he's quite capable of handling Twitter. The only complexity I've tried to bring to the table here is that Twitter is a political company, and he's being subject to the political winds in ways that he's never faced before, and these other companies, frankly, haven't faced before. So that adds a level of, complexity to his decision-making and risk to his decision-making because of the nature of what's at stake. There are a lot of political actors who depend on these media companies, social media companies, to restrict their political opponents. And, I think to the degree he steps back, those folks will have more of an upper hand.
Kara, final thoughts? Dara's just collapsed. She's dead. Guys, great discussion. My voice is gone. And the buffet in the hotel opened for breakfast. I woke up at 7 p.m., so I'm still awake at 7 a.m. So I appreciate you all for joining. We have the panel tomorrow because Fauci files are going to be the next job. So tomorrow we're going to be covering COVID, which, as you know, guys, I'm pretty, tensed about it because it's a very touchy topic. And we've got some great panelists coming. So I'm going to pin it above shortly. I'll try to find the tweet and pin it above so you can set reminders for that. There it is. See, I'll pin it above now on my profile. I'll see you all there. Hopefully there's not going to be any more breaking news. Hope you all enjoyed the World Cup final. Congratulations to Argentina. And what a day. We started off with Twitter suspending accounts that share links to Linktree and other platforms. Then we had a lot of people concerned with this decision. So we had Twitter reverse this decision, Elon tweeting about it publicly. And that was, not long after the whole doxing situation and Elon's family getting stalked. And now we have Elon tweeting about, we had first Matt Taibbi do a drop of the latest bit of Twitter files that showed a lot of pressure from the FBI on, I forgot the guy's name, on him and other executives at Twitter. And then lastly, we had Elon imply, in my opinion, that he's stepping down as CEO based on the votes. And many of us said that we wouldn't be too surprised if that happens, considering two things. Number one, that he said before, CEO is just a title. He can still influence the decisions. And second, he's got a lot on his plate. So we'll see what happens. I think it was a pretty intense day. And I think we did a great job covering it. So thank you for all the panelists and everyone else that joined. And welcome to all new panelists. And Ian had to jump off, everyone. So massive shout out to Ian for making the time and coming to cover the story. He had to hop off a few minutes ago. But love you all. Thank you so much, guys. And we'll see you for the next one. Hopefully no breaking news till then. Bye, everyone.